I am. Whose mic's still live?
Hello?
Is it coming through a phone? Yes, it's coming through somebody's phone. Somebody's got to cut their mic off.
It's not mine.
Hello, hello? Not me.
Is it you, Corey?
I don't know. I'm working on it here.
Okay.
How about now?
I think we're good now.
Hello, hello?
Okay.
The Macho Wrestling Podcast and YouTube show, Twitch, shit, and what's the other one we're on? Facebook.
Yes.
Yeah. And I get to say something that I've wanted to say since I heard my hero Jeremy Clarkson say it. We're back! It's been what?
1 week since you looked at me.
Okay. So anyways, it's been a minute since we've been on the air. Last week, John's wife
Hurt herself.
she did not die.
Corey, shut the hell up.
John got to collect zero in life insurance. Maybe short-term disability. I'm not sure about that.
Sciatica sucks.
Not yet. No short-term disability yet. I can't get the damn camera to work there. There we go. And anyways, so a lot of shit's happened. Oh God, Rose is pissed. I have no clue what Rose is pissed about. But she wants the world to know. Megan, tend the dog. That's what she wants. She wants to eat. Shut up!
That doesn't work. This is Rose's 2 cents about how much she missed y'all.
That's right.
Yeah.
Go deal with that. She can't walk. Well, pick her up and put her in the bed.
Yeah. Do it.
My dog is 150,000 years old, and she has a tumor in her back leg.
It's not a tumor.
And she's injured it tonight, and she is mad about that.
Angry.
So, anyway, well, Rose, were you going to deal with it, or you just going to sit there and look at me?
I don't think I'm dealing with it.
Apparently not.
I just eating.
Yeah, how did you not understand that?
What do I have? Plant food does I not do things?
Yeah, I mean.
Now the riffraff is gone, we can actually get the show in order.
That's right. Maybe
Sorry,
Corey will take care of the dog. She's running now. She's fine. Suddenly healed. Miracles. Corey's a miracle worker. So anyway, a Survivor Series. Nobody but Corey and me apparently watched it.
I watched it.
Did you?
No.
Were you as disappointed in what took place as I was?
A lot, yeah. There were some matches that were okay, I thought.
The best match
in general, overall, it was
best match on the card was probably Charlotte and Becky.
Charlotte and Becky was
and
good.
I hate to say it because they're both awful wrestlers. And
some of the men's Survivor Series team match wasn't terrible,
but okay, Kevin Owens walking off right at the beginning. Okay, that's stupid. You should do that at the end. Mm-hmm. I mean,
I was expecting him to come back at the end and like stun
Stun the world.
Stun Rollins. And let
Well, it
SmackDown
should have
win.
been saved for the end of the match. It should have been him and Rollins at the end of the match, and then he should have stunned Rollins and walked off and got counted out. And Rollins won it, right? Yeah, and they wanted Rollins to win. He could have, had the build up, to come back, as a good booker would have put it together. And
Well, they don't have those.
obviously not. And somebody said it's Nick Khan. Is that right?
Yeah, and Ric
Really?
Flair, in all his glory, said that if Nick Khan is in power,
He's not coming back.
right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I listened to Flair Nation this week.
How old is he?
72.
72-year-old man.
Yeah.
The legend in this business won't come back because of one guy.
He said outright, if Nick Khan's involved with WWE and he dies, he does not want WWE to do a package of remembrance on him. Period. He said Tony Khan can do it over at AEW, and it'll be done well. And that's I honestly agree.
Now, was Tony and Nick Khan related?
No.
Okay. Are they the same kind of Khan? Like Genghis?
Genghis people.
Khan!
I mean, one yeah,
Same guy.
1/3.
Hey, you piss them off, they're gonna have wrath.
So Corey and me found the best wrestling franchise out there this week.
Yes.
It's amazing. Major League Wrestling. Have you watched any of this?
MLW, old school MLW.
Oh,
Was down.
right now.
Oh.
It's great right now. The best matches I've seen in I don't know how
They have
long.
some crazy ass gimmicks though.
Yeah, I can't tell you who the hell these people are.
No recognizable names from old school
No.
WWE,
Von
WCW.
Erichs.
The Von Erichs, I did see them. Kerry's
No,
sons. They're Kerry
Kevin.
Von Erich. Oh, Kevin Von
The
Erich's sons.
oldest, the one
That's right.
alive.
Okay. And
Ross and Tucker.
they didn't wrestle. They'll be wrestling in Texas, on the 21st, but for the tag titles. But my God, the matches we
They
seen.
had the Parka guy.
Yeah, they had La Parka. That's right. And
The Blue Man.
they had Fatu.
Oh, for two.
Yeah, he was just the world champion. He just lost it to this hammered dude. And
The Hammer Brothers.
whatever he is, I'm telling you, it was badass. They
What?
dropped F-bombs. It was.
It's more like the Hammer for all.
I'm
guessing it's not televised.
It is. It's on Fight and it's on Vice TV. And it was done well. The booker there is Caesar something.
Romero.
No, it's not
That's
Caesar Romero.
Romero.
But anyways, he is apparently a guy who was involved with Lucha Underground, and it's really done well. Now I couldn't understand a word he said.
It's like he's like this Mexican soap opera, persona.
Bad guy.
Yeah, real dark, brooding,
Like,
slick.
You know what I want to hear? I want to hear these
Fancy
old school soccer promo like announcers come on there and wrestle.
Hey, I will even say even the announcers were good on MLW.
Mm-hmm.
All right, random ass question. Why in the hell is Dan Lambert so involved in wrestling?
I have no
He's in
clue.
MLW, evidently.
Okay.
Fat face dipshit.
The head of fish, man.
Well, Bruce Pritchard at one time was at MLW for a minute, and over at he was over at Impact as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing I just hope that MLW is smart enough to never invite Bischoff to do anything. I like Bischoff, but he cannot run a wrestling promotion. Period. The end. And I think we can all agree on that. WCW, TNA, both prime examples of what he can do to a wrestling, corporation.
Well, Impact's starting to stabilize now.
But how is it stable? Okay, look, here's the thing. Let's look at what's going on. WWE is preparing for a fire sale. Without a doubt, there's no way around it. We're getting rid of all of our talent, everybody except for Roman Reigns.
And Brock Lesnar.
And Brock Lesnar, who's going to make $5 million a appearance and only do 10 a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's $50 million you're paying Brock Lesnar. You didn't pay Stone Cold that. And you know what? I watched every single second of Survivor Series, and it was the cheapest piece of shit television programming I've ever seen. And I know I sound like Jim Cornette when I'm saying this, but there was zero pop throughout the entire. Yes, Zero pop throughout the entire fucking show.
Everyone
Yeah.
was waiting on
That-
bated breath
yes,
for the Rock to
They
come
they
out.
promoted the Rock, promoted the Rock, promoted the Rock, and then what? They didn't deliver the Rock.
You got a golden egg.
Yeah, there was a golden egg that went missing. I have no clue what happened with it. I was not interested in the
Austin Theory
storyline.
apparently took it to take a selfie with it, so Vince McMahon awarded him a world championship match against Big E. On
What the
Monday
fuck
Night
is Austin
Yeah,
Theory?
yeah, exactly. Who
Why do
cares?
I'm gonna fall asleep
Technically,
That's
he
like-
was
okay.
it was told
So-
that anyone who found the egg, found the culprit, would be rewarded the match. Sami Zayn found out who it was, and because Vince McMahon liked to cut a jib that Austin Theory had, instead of giving it to Sami Zayn, he gave it to Austin Theory.
Well,
now. Conspiracy against that.
here's where I'm at.
They're a bunch of rock teasers.
They're teased the Rock. Then when they knew the Rock, that Rock wasn't going to pay off. Okay, about 10 minutes before the final match, then they teased Brock Lesnar, and I'm like, okay, well, one of them's bound to run out. No, nobody comes out. It was terribly done. Paul Heyman, comes and tells Paul Heyman that the suspension's been lifted. So what? Why would you wait? Why do you waste time on a pay-per-view? I know the waters are muddied about whether it's pay-per-view anymore or not, but why would you waste time on a pay-per-view to provide storyline that doesn't matter? They're on different shows now. How are they going to cross paths?
I don't know.
Supposedly a free agent, basically.
Yeah.
Can do whatever
Go on whatever show he wants.
He got drafted to Raw.
Doesn't matter.
Is that how this is?
Yeah,
then
that's
what's
how-
the point in the damn draft?
Basically,
Okay.
I mean, seriously, not just trying to.
Well, it's
push it
like,
around and-
Big E is the Raw champion, and he was on SmackDown the Thursday before Survivor Series.
Right.
Look
It
at
was
me, I
not.
haven't watched WWE in about 3 months.
Well, for one, you can't. Okay. When I watch, whether it's AEW, WWE, Impact, I watch it and fast forward through things. And if you stop me from fast forwarding, you've done something good. Did I fast forward a single time on MLW? No, not even.
We went back.
Yeah, we had to go back and watch shit again. Even the slowest match that I've seen, which was Bobby Fish versus Kenny. Bobby Fish is cross promoting. MLW is cross promoting with AEW. And
They're going to Forbidden Door again.
yeah, well, they're doing, and that's Bischoff did that too. I'll point out in New Japan,
Yeah.
and but here they are,
Some other technical guy.
right? Kenny something. God, I forgot his name. It was not Kenny Loggins, but it looked like such a slow match. It looked like nothing was going to happen, and because they were tacticians. I mean, but it was like watching Bret Hart and Owen Hart go at it. That's how technical this match was.
Yeah, I mean, hammer locks and choke holds and drop kicks and stuff.
A lot of submission moves, and then all of a sudden, it just turns into a brawl. Just like with,
the blood was too much blood was in the water.
Right. And I gotta say, even the slowest match on the program.
I wouldn't have put it the last match. That's a terrible way to
No, I wouldn't have put it as well. I don't know. It ended on a high note. You got to say that.
Not higher than the one.
No, not higher than their elimination tag match, which was just out of this world.
It's just insane.
It was was that the table, ladders, and chairs?
No, that was something different.
Okay,
I think it was just a ladder match.
Yeah, okay. There was a ladder match that they had.
They beat the shit out of each other.
There is no way you would see that in WWE. No way. Just constant action.
Bloody mess afterwards.
No, not really.
No, but
But constant action.
Yeah, something was going on.
Right. You would have somebody climbing up the ladder, and somebody would suddenly just come, jump from the top rope and kick them in the face. It was stuff that you don't see in WWE.
Yeah, like putting the guy, sandwiched him in between
right,
the ladders,
yeah.
Drop kicked it.
Yeah. And then one guy, what my favorite move of the entire night was the guy went to grab the ladder out from underneath the ropes and drag it back outside. And when he put his hands on it, the guy stomped it and crushed his fingers. It was great.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, my God, I can't believe that.
My fingers hurt.
And it was well done. It was a fantastic event, and I will be checking out more MLW in the future for sure. I will say AEW, it's getting kind of slow to me. Can you argue?
No.
I think it's a repetition that they're doing. It's hours of constant. You have trios matches, or you have 8-man tags, or you have 10-man tags.
Is it just that I'm old, but I don't understand pockets? Orange juice.
Oh, Orange Cabinet.
I don't.
It's his home gimmick. He's basically a
I
slot.
get it, but I don't understand why it's over.
Well, because America's lazy.
But they pushed him to be over. It's not.
No,
That's like the Young Bucks.
They haven't pushed
The
it.
Young Bucks. You can look at what they're selling. You can look at the balance sheet for AEW because it's part of the Jacksonville Jaguars, balance sheet, and it's not selling merchandise. The Bucks aren't selling merchandise. Who's selling merchandise there? Jericho, CM Punk.
Mm-hmm.
Jericho's leading, by the way.
I'm not surprised.
CM Punk was in second, and the only reason that he's selling merchandise is because he's just come back. I did see a match 2 weeks ago with Jay Lethal and Sammy Guevara.
That was a hell of a good match.
It was, but you just brought freaking Jay Lethal, Jay goddamn Lethal, who has a name, into a brand new company that he's debuted there. Why did he not win that belt?
I guess they didn't want him to have the belt.
It's Sammy Guevara. He's not as over as Jay Lethal. Argue that. I mean, am I right or wrong?
It's with Sammy being a homegrown talent.
Maybe that's what they wanted to do. Maybe they wanted to.
No, that's not what they're doing.
They wanted to try to get him a little bit upper.
I don't care. They're doing the same thing WCW did. They're the retirement home for the people Vince doesn't want right now. Who do they have? Jericho. That's their biggest draw. Second biggest draw. CM Punk. My point is, if that's the route you're going to use people that Vince doesn't want that are over. There's a fantastic guy right there in Jay Lethal.
Yeah.
Using.
He still has a few years left.
Yes. I mean, and unlike Mox, he doesn't have a booze problem.
And then you got Hangman.
True.
Over.
But let me ask you a question. 2 years of a storyline with Adam Page. 2 years was the payoff worth it?
Yes.
You think so? Merchandise-wise and ticket sales-wise?
No. Ticket-wise, considering they're selling out constantly.
But they're running smaller arenas than WWE does.
Between 2,000 and 4,000 people.
Right.
But still, they're selling it out. So, look at ECW.
No, I get it. I get. They're not on the same par right now.
They're not on the same par with, but who?
But they could be.
Tony has said, he's like, I got more money than Vince. So,
Vince his dad has more money.
Who cares? What's he doing with it? Jack Nick.
Again, I'll point out something, and this, I hate to say this because I hope to God every day.
He's snatching up, used, broken up, has been.
I hope to God every day that Vince McMahon wakes up.
He's not going to.
And decides that, we're going to fix it and make it great.
He's not.
He's probably not.
No.
But I hope to God he does. And if he ever does,
more likely Vince is going to wake up. Let's fire 14 more people.
I'm going to point out something. He beat Ted Turner, and Ted Turner had a lot more money than he did. So my point is that McMahon, if first off, I think the biggest thing is you got to get Paul out of the front office. Triple H.
No. Which supposedly they have.
Don't let bookers be wrestlers.
No.
Okay? Kevin Nash did it in WCW.
Which is a talking point.
That's one of the talking points we're going to discuss tonight. But Dusty Rhodes, who? Ric Flair was a booker. I mean, and you don't let wrestlers book their own matches. It's just something you don't do.
I don't think Rhodes did a fine job.
Rhodes did because he stepped away from wrestling primarily. He was, and when they pulled him out of that role, he came back into.
Yeah, he
which we'll talk about overexpanding.
And then you have another booker that books his own divorce.
Oh, that was
Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah, that's right. Puts Nancy and Ben.
Nancy, God rest her soul.
There's truth to that. But I mean, my point.
I like Benoit.
I bet you wouldn't have liked to have been in his house today. He went nuts. I mean, But I'm just saying. I feel like there's a lot of room for improvement everywhere, and everywhere I look at, even MLW, they're so close. to being
There's
something.
something there.
Yeah, so close to being something that could catch fire.
And, I mean, the reason why, I mean, yeah, AEW is hot. We've already mentioned that. But the reason why they're so hot is, yes, they're doing a lot of stuff right. But the biggest thing that they're doing right is it's an alternative. I mean, that's
Different.
it.
Yeah.
21 fucking years now.
Yep.
It's an alternative.
Yep. They're different. And I think that's the biggest thing that's going, for them right now is they're different and they have a mainstream cable network to pick them up.
Which, by the way, they go to CBS next month.
They go to what now?
CBS.
Oh, really?
The Rampage is staying on TNT. Dynamite's going to TBS.
Okay.
So Turner learned nothing.
Well, Turner doesn't really own anything.
Oh.
It's AOL, Time Warner.
AOL.
Yeah,
They
it's
got
Time
it.
Warner. You're right. So, yeah. It's still AOL Corporation. It's just, they dropped the AOL name. I mean, like, is Facebook still Facebook? Or do you call it Meta?
I'm not calling it anything.
Okay.
It's supposed to be called Meta.
That's the name of the company now.
That's the company, but this is the Facebook product.
Right. So,
Okay, back to wrestling.
anyways, the whole thing is that there's 3 products, one of which is over the hill. I mean, it really, I think Cornette put it best. Did Vince McMahon not learn his lesson about eggs at the Survivor Series?
I
mean,
Corey, 88, 89?
Yeah,
Corey Graves even said it on commentary. He said, "This is what is it with eggs and Survivor Series or something?"
I mean, it was just not a smart move. He shouldn't have done it.
But Netflix paid him a shit ton of money.
Well, you don't know that, but he may have paid Netflix a shit ton of money.
Supposedly that, I don't know. That's what the dirt sheet says.
And on top of this, oh right, I mean, hell, we're the dirt sheets at this point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I mean, look, The Rock, he's admitted his first true love is wrestling. If Vince McMahon came to him with a plausible storyline that he felt like was going to be good, and it worked with his time constraints, The Rock would be there in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter the money, doesn't matter. The Rock would be there because The Rock loves the business.
Well, I got the perfect storyline. Slap down Roman Reigns.
The Rock doesn't want that.
I don't care what the Rock wants.
The Rock doesn't want to be involved in a storyline with a subpar person.
True.
Roman Reigns.
Maybe that's the thing. Put him in his place.
But that's what everyone wants. But The Rock doesn't want to be involved with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns can't. The Rock can't carry Roman Reigns because everyone who Roman Reigns fights has to carry him. I'm just saying. Paul Heyman now has to carry Roman Reigns.
That was the whole reason they put him together.
Right. And Brock Lesnar, who is best with Paul Heyman at his side, is doing better on his own than Roman Reigns did on his own. That should tell you about Roman Reigns' mic skill. And guess what? I know that everybody wants to say, oh, they're athletes, but you know what the number one thing you need in order to be a good superstar, in order to be a good wrestler is?
Charisma.
Mic abilities. You got to be able to talk shit with the best of them.
Well, hell, look. Let's go back to like Kane. Kane didn't have any mic skills.
No,
but he didn't need mic skills.
Correct.
He would get in the ring, choke slam whoever, and leave. That was his best. He said all he needed.
But Kane didn't cut promos. Kane wasn't trying to sell merchandise.
He had Paul Bearer for that.
Yeah. I mean,
Forgive me.
yeah.
Like there's some guys who are terrible on the microphone who you still get over because they're just.
Kane was never over.
Orange Cassidy.
Kane was never over in the sense of The Rock or anyone on the same roster with Kane at that time. Kane's never been over like John Cena. Kane's never been over like Triple H. Kane's never been over like Mankind. Any of those people, Kane's not even on the same level as those guys. Look at Mick Foley. Mick Foley was over like Rover, baby. I mean, it was just the way it was. And why? Because he cut those promos, I remember one time watching him at WCW when I was a kid. He just grabbed the mic and he's like, bruises and scratches and some. These are a few of my favorites. I mean, the man went all just crazy. And he presented himself that way, and it put him over. Kane just came out as a monster. It was a brick wall that was in your way. I mean, it's like Mabel, brick wall in your way. Yokozuna, brick wall in your way. Same concept. You don't
Even
have to.
Undertaker, same thing.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
then they
well,
let Taker
then-
start being Taker.
Right.
I mean, Taker had mic skills. He just didn't.
Well, he
need
had
them.
one-dimensional mic skills. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't need them.
I mean, he was a dead person who threatened you. I mean, you know.
Maybe. Question mark.
Rest in peace.
I mean, look at like Double J.
Pseudo
Double J
magical
had
powers.
minimal
awful
mic skills, but they brought Road Dogg in, who when he was his roadie,
Right.
who had
Great
tremendous
mic
chemistry.
skills.
Yeah.
Right.
So he would get out
Right.
mic check mic check,
Yeah.
and then he would sing the songs for him.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that was look, to me that was the best. Now, I get WWE gave Double J a push after his best friend fell to his doom. Okay, I get all that. Double J's never been world championship material. That was one of TNA's biggest mistakes. I get
They own the company.
he was the booker again. You know,
If you're going to be a booker and a wrestler, you got to care not only about you got to
you
care
can own
less about your career than other people.
you can own the company you work for. Jerry Lawler proves that. Guess what Jerry Lawler does?
Puts other people over.
If it was here,
Hell, he put
John
Andy
Williams.
Kaufman over.
Yeah, that's right.
And
John
Robert
Williams
Control.
would be booking our matches. Because I know Brian and me, if we owned it,
I want to win.
we
No,
would
I
want
wanna
to be
win.
back in a
I
match.
want to win.
Right or wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, you would want to be in the ring if we owned it. And we would make, sure, we would all be in charge of creative, and that's fine.
You got to have somebody to
But
win.
the difference
Talk
between
shop
like
here.
with me and like
we're also, we
with
know
us,
how to lose.
Yeah, with us and with like
How many matches did we win?
not a lot.
One?
Mhm.
That's all I can remember. So, I mean, the rest of the time we got our asses
Now you
kicked
put us on the video game, we're undefeated.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But the rest of the time we got our asses kicked and rolled out the ring. And, I mean, it's just, the thing is that a lot of these guys who are in the business now, and I noticed this with WWE, they don't have the fire for the business.
They're there for a paycheck.
They're there for a paycheck. That's all they care about is dragging in, that $200,000 a year. They don't want to ruffle any feathers. They're not going to go to the old man and say, "Hey man, look, I got this idea." Because they don't. What if I kick him in the nuts tonight? Well, you can't do that. Well, what if I do? I can do that, but you don't want me to do that. What if I do it and I catch heat? What's going to happen to me?
We don't want you to catch you.
Right.
We want you to be baby face.
Well, that's the thing. They don't want
Everyone
anyone.
can't be the good guy.
Everyone at WCW is. WWE is. Excuse, that's how bad they've gotten. They're now WCW to me.
Yeah, everyone can't be the good guy.
But that's what WWE is trying to do, is make everybody be the good guy.
No.
And they're way too centered on being multicultural. And they need to appeal to that white trash base of people who we learned to appeal to.
Well, that's who their audience was.
And could be again.
Yeah, they've lost them.
When you were running 6 million viewers a week, guess who they were? They were people drinking Miller Lite with their kids, watching TV.
Hit that son, baby.
That's right.
Oh,
Beat his ass.
Damn it, Desi, Kurt Angle won again.
I told the story not too long ago to a friend of mine in Corey's that we know, lives on my mail route. And I told him, I said, look, when we was doing it, I got flipped off by an old lady and loved it. You remember that? And, she was mad. She hated my guts.
And that's probably what
And that's what we were doing. We were bad guys. We were there to get our asses kicked and rolled out the ring and talk crap, right or wrong. Yep. And that was it. When we got rolled out the ring, it was over with. But that old lady flipped me off. Little old lady, she had her cross around her neck. She had her little hat on, her little beaded pearl purse. I remember she's pulled it up and sticks me that bird right to my face, and I was like, well.
Okay, then. It's up right.
And that was what the business was about. You wanted that heat. If you had 3 people in the fucking audience, or 300, or 20,000, and you're catching.
And you got Dusty, not trying to cut you off, Dusty
Go ahead.
versus Ric Flair at the damn Greensboro Coliseum, that fucking cage match.
Right.
They had to escort Flair and the Horsemen out
Right.
because they were causing
So, but,
riot.
yeah, that's what I was having this conversation with somebody the other day. I was talking about the Rollins fan attack,
Right.
and we were talking about, he said, it used to be back in the old days, when people actually took this, like,
What'd they tell us? If a fan ran in, beat the shit out of him.
Mhm. We're talking about this is like, like he was saying,
What they
like
get.
back in the day, the heels put up so much heat that they had to be either escorted out by security or led out to a like a hidden vehicle and drove to their car.
Or know how to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said
And-
people were ready to
They're
whip.
doing their job. Because you know what? You can't have a face if you ain't got the heel.
Right. No, I agree.
The heel is what puts the faces over.
Correct.
And hell, sometimes the heels get over on their own for being such a nasty ass bastard.
they're trying to make Roman Reigns a heel right now, but it's not working.
Well,
Everything he wants with his face.
Look,
It's true. He is doing better as a heel than he was as a face, but that's not much. I mean, you can't. If you improve a turd, it's still a turd.
I'm saying, look, you can put lipstick on the
Just the
chin,
new
but
improved
still
turd.
feel like hog shit.
Right.
You know?
You've just got the new and improved turds. What you've got, and
And like you're talking about, heels, like that people who get heat and stuff. I was talking to a guy earlier today, my buddy Wayne, and we were talking about what happened on Raw with the 24/7 championship.
I don't know. I don't watch Raw, but go ahead.
It was Reginald versus Cedric Alexander for the title. They fought a little bit. Cedric Alexander won. Then the 24/7 rules after the match it reinstates everything comes back.
Right.
You can fight whoever. The group of people ran down to the ring and looked up top, and Dana Brooke was up top, and she catches Cedric Alexander with a flash, pins him for the championship, celebrates as the mob gets in the ring and stops because they didn't know what they were supposed to do. If I was one of those heels, I would have kicked her right in the face and pinned her.
Yep.
You know?
That's how you'd have done it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you do.
You would have got heat. Oh, what?
Yeah.
He hit a woman.
That's
blah, blah,
exactly
blah, blah, blah.
that's
You did it
exactly
Wrong.
what
You got to kick him in the fork first. Everybody knows.
Hey, honey, give me one more of these, please. But I mean, the whole thing.
But I was sitting there thinking, it's like, they all stopped. Even someone like Otis, who's a big bad heel.
Right.
They stopped and he looked and had that like look of confusion, like she's got the title. How are we supposed to take it from her?
Do it.
Know?
Just
Yeah,
do
go
it.
in there and take it.
Choke slam her ass like Kane would.
Put her through a table.
Do what?
Plastic surgery she's had. She does not look real.
Wait till she's put under and pin her. I don't care.
Put her
Pull
through
some,
a table.
Al Snow shit. I mean,
Hell, I watched the video the other day of Bubba Ray Dudley power bombing freaking Mae Young through a damn table.
and Terry Reynolds and Trish Stratus and look, it goes back to
Which going back to Bubba Ray, I hear that him and Velvet Sky broke up. So Velvet Sky,
well, Brian's got to get over
single
this now. He's got to get busy. He's got
They
to
have
get over
split
it.
up and are amicable.
But no, look. So one of the things that really annoyed me with Seth Rollins getting attacked by the guy, Seth Rollins has to have security pull the guy off.
Then
Okay.
he starts cussing at him.
Then he starts cussing, I'll whoop your ass again. And I'm like, you didn't do anything. Austin tweeted a match between him and Triple H where a fan runs in there. Triple H grabs the fan and beats the shit out of the fan. And he goes, this is how that's handled.
I remember a thing in WCW where Mark Curtis, 105-pound little referee, beat the shit out of a fan and put him in an armbar.
Yep.
How embarrassed did that fan have to be? I mean,
if I remember correctly, when that fan ran in on Bret Hart at the Hall of Fame ceremony thing, not ceremony, but the thing on Raw.
Bret Hart throat punched one. Is that it?
And I think Braun Strowman like punched the shit out of one of them. So I would not want to be punched by that man.
No. No, I would not.
Get these hands.
But I mean, even Bret Hart, who whines about everything, as we've determined 1,000 times here, okay, has the ability to fight off a fan. What's wrong with Seth Rollins that he can't do it?
Well, maybe he just didn't want to.
Is he that weak? Is that what it
Maybe
is?
they can't. Maybe they're not allowed to.
Yeah, maybe that could be that.
Maybe they don't want to be sued
No.
or liability or whatever.
Don't
He attacked Jim.
Apparently, what I was told, I don't know how about it, but my buddy Wayne again told me this morning that apparently what it was somebody posed as Seth Rollins on the internet
Yes.
and got money from the dude,
Yeah.
and he was pissed.
Yeah. Sell him a belt, a signed belt online, and the guy sent him like $250 for it, and he never got it, and he was pissed.
Look, the corporation runs it. It's a board of board of directors. It's committee. They're run by committee now.
No, I get it.
The corporate lawyers won't let us do things anymore. They don't want to be sued. They don't want to have to handle it. You have to be PC and happy and go free and sunshine and rainbow.
I'm sure that dude got arrested and probably got like a hell of a fine. And I'm sure he's banned from all WWE events.
Oh, probably so, but still, that's not how you handle it. You don't want your talent to look like a fucking pussy on the internet.
Yeah, how do you get now? What do you do?
I mean, so you're going to put Seth Rollins up against Braun Strowman? Well, they're not going to hand him because they fired him. You're going to put Seth Rollins up against Roman Reigns? I mean,
Hornswoggler's got a better team.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. It's not credible anymore.
No, you broke the illusion.
Right.
The fourth wall is shattered.
And not that there's an issue with like John was talking about breaking the fourth wall of companies. This is a different fourth wall to be breaking.
Yeah,
you want these guys to look tough.
Yeah,
you broke wall break within the fourth wall break.
Yeah,
that's like 16 walls.
But I'm just saying. I mean, you want these guys to look tough. So, anyways, we got to get to our subjects for this week, and I can't open that beer. So, man, I'm not looking over at all.
You get that fan.
I'll have a fan attack you then.
But anyways, so this week we're going to be talking about the finger poke of doom, and primarily what we're going to talk about is shit that hurt WCW and brought the company down.
And then Goldberg Street.
We're going to talk about that.
Okay.
But let's first talk about the finger poke of doom. But to talk about the finger poke of doom, we do have to talk about ending Goldberg Street, because they ended Goldberg Street on a cheat.
And who ended it?
Kevin Nash and Scott Hall.
Why did Nash end it?
He was the booker.
Thank you.
And so Nash.
Just put a pin in that for later.
Yeah. Nash. Scott Hall comes in, tasers Goldberg, if I remember right.
Yep.
Nash pins him.
Security.
Yeah. Nash pins him, looks all confused because remember, Hall was with white and black, Nash was with red and black at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
All this great confusion was taking place, and Nash comes out, because he was a fan favorite at the time. He was a baby face, and it's like everybody wanted Nash to win because he was the leader of the Wolfpack, and so he leaves. Everybody's happy. Goldberg probably not so much, but everybody's happy.
From what I heard from $Sign's Bill, he didn't care. He didn't care if he won or lost. He was there just to do try to learn things. So I saw.
Well, he never did because he tried to kill Bret Hart.
Yeah.
He tried to kill pretty much anyone he ever got in the ring with.
That horrible match between him and
Undertaker
at was it Crown Jewel?
Yeah, year two.
On his head, or Taker dropped him on his head.
And the thing is that they ended Goldberg Street, which was the biggest thing they had going, to create the finger poke of doom. The next night on Monday Nitro.
I think it was like a week later.
No, I think it was the next night on Nitro. Hall comes out. Nash comes out with the belt. Hogan.
So he's retired by the time.
Yep, threatens him. They, roostered off in the middle of the ring, bucking up on each other. And then they declare a match. At the match, when the match starts, he pokes him and.
The next week, so 8 days later.
Okay, so 8 days later, it happens. Hogan pokes him. Nash makes the heel turn. Hogan pins him, takes the belt.
Hogan, they get up, they celebrate, hug each other, and then the crowd pummels the ring with garbage.
Yep. You got heat. You got great heat. Why did they not build Goldberg, building himself back up, a redemption story, if you will? Those always sell. Hangman Adam Page, that's a damn, a redemption story. Those always sell. Build Goldberg back up. Start that streak over. Got one loss. Build that up.
The thing with Perfect Doom happened in Atlanta.
Yep.
Goldberg's hometown. Where was Goldberg during this time? He was supposedly arrested for doing something.
Yeah. He was across the street.
Yeah. And
it was really odd because they said it took you 30 minutes to get back. And I've been to Phillips Arena, and there's a police station directly across from Phillips Arena, which they showed on camera and said that's where he went. But it took him 30 minutes after he was, released.
The road?
Yeah, because something about a Miss Elizabeth had accused him of sexual harassment, rape. I think is actually where the angle they were going for. But it was a terrible thing. It was not well done. The finger poke of doom, it got heat. It could have been done well. WCW, in true WCW fashion, got this amazing thing. They got this thing. It was fucking golden, and they dropped it. And it could have been one of the biggest selling things, one of the biggest selling storylines in wrestling history. Because if you would have made it to where Goldberg had to fight his way back to get that belt.
If you want me, you got to take out all the NWO.
Yeah.
Here's Goldberg versus Hall.
Well, but that brings us to another issue. How would you ever take out all the NWO? Because every fucking body was in the NWO. Freaking Dusty Rhodes,
Scott Steiner,
Bret Hart.
Scott Steiner had a 66.8% chance of being the world champion the entire time he was in the NWO.
How do you know that?
Steiner math.
Okay.
I actually saw a video of that in Impact where it's him and Petey Rhodes talking about
33.3%.
Yeah, it's like a triple threat match between him and Samoa Joe and somebody else or something, and he was saying, "Do you want to go with Joe, the fat son of a bitch, like that, or you want the genetic freak, doing his thing?" He's like, "I have this stuff, I have this chance." I'm like,
and the bad thing is, God bless him, but he went to school, University of Michigan, on a math scholarship.
Right.
Okay, off topic. Go ahead.
But no. I mean, but you think about it. That could have been an amazing storyline had Bischoff have played it right. But he never did. He never. He had these things that were gave to him.
Given.
Yeah. Well, okay. One of the things I have to point out that I feel like was a major mistake on WCW's behalf was telegraphing Mick Foley was going to win the belt.
That's going to put some butts in seats.
Which
is the name of his new book.
Right, but why would I not go flip over and watch a title change?
About time Foley wins the title. Just
right.
Click, and then the match ended.
And then you're going to tell me that I'm going to get, if I go over to WCW, I'm going to get Hulk Hogan walking in and poking a guy, and him falling over, and that's going to be that? That's going to be the championship match? That's what I'm supposed to give a shit about?
At least that match between Foley and was it The Rock? The Rock was actually a damn good match.
It was. But I'm supposed to give a shit.
Match?
No.
That was the one on Raw. Stone Cold comes in, smacks Rock in the head. And
Rock and the Corporation and Mick Foley and DX, I think.
Yeah. But I'm still saying, I'm supposed to give a shit about, that's what you're going to do. Yes, it got heat. It got heat in the ring. On the TV, it got people to just say, I'm not watching this. This is moronic. And that's the thing, when you're at that level, sure, if you're running a like an indie promotion, you want that heat in the ring. That would be fantastic to have. But if you're running a huge promotion like that, you've got to keep in mind, there are people at home, too, who are not going to have...
You got more viewers at home than you do in the arena. You got a lot in that arena, but there's so many people around. Well,
so many.
Then it was just, I think it was just the United States, so they didn't think there was a lot of them.
Well, WCW was worldwide, yeah, and so was WWE at the time. But I'm just saying, Turner broadcasted everywhere across the world. But I'm just saying, here we had these, we had these things that could have been huge. They could have been really, astronomical storylines to go with. And what do? Eventually we move on to bringing David Arquette in. Come on. WCW had the best chance at beating WWE. They can blame the front office all they want. but the creative, and they can say, "Oh, our hands were tied. They wouldn't let me do this. They wouldn't let me do that." But when your creative is, okay, we're going to poke somebody and change the belt that's supposed to have credibility.
Back to what, like 1916 or something?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna poke him, and that's it. That's where we're gonna end it at. That's not a credible finish to a world title match. This is a freaking belt that Flair's held. It's a belt that Hogan's held. It's a belt that everyone who won Jim Crockett held. I mean, it's a moronic finish to something that's supposed to be so prestigious. And why would Nash? The other thing was why would Nash just willingly give it up like that to Hogan? I mean, why would you not build that match if that's what you wanted, and then do that at a pay-per-view where you at least get some sort of payoff?
Can you imagine if that match was out of the finger poke of doom was at a pay-per-view?
But think about the pop that would have got.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been everywhere. Meltzer would have never stopped talking about it. We're still talking about it, what, 22 years later? And could you imagine if it had been at, like, the Great American Bash or Starrcade?
Hype that thing all the way up, have Hogan, have Nash have to run through, like, some of the black and white members,
Right.
To prove himself, and then he gets to, like...
Well, Nash would have the belt. Nash has got the belt, he ain't going through nobody.
Oh, yeah,
Hogan's building his way up, And then, if you really want to go that route, do a triple threat match. Goldberg, Hogan, Nash. Okay? Hogan, Nash work together and get Goldberg out. He's outside. And then do the finger poke of doom.
That would actually make sense.
Yeah, huge pop. Would have sold. And then you had the ability to consolidate your NWOs. You shouldn't have had 1,000 different members, but that's neither here or there. But you could.
All right, John. This is a question for you. Who has had more members? The NWO nearing the end, or the Bullet Club?
NWO.
Bullet Club Worldwide.
NWO.
Because there's like 950 different Bullet Clubs apparently.
Yeah, but anyone who ever wrestled is part of part of NWO. I mean,
not everyone. He never joined.
No, he didn't. They wanted him to, but he's like, dude, that wouldn't go with my character.
Mm-hmm.
And they talked him
NWO.
They talked him into the red and black, and then they dismantled it right as they talked him into it. But I think that they had way too. For one, I know they had too many people in the NWO for the storyline to make sense that they said they were going with, because they wanted to make Nitro, NWO Nitro, and Thunder WCW. And, that's great. That's fine if that's the plan you've got, and then you're going to do the competing brands like WWE does. But I personally feel like, look at where we're at since the brand splits with WWE. That's become stagnant. It was kind of cool the first time it happened, but now it's kind of like, okay, who cares?
Last time I paid attention to SmackDown was 16 years ago. No, 50. Eddie Guerrero died. 2005. 16 years ago.
Well, and here's another question. I know this is off our topics, but with WWE continuously releasing 20 people a week, how are they going to fill the roster for both of these?
They barely fill a roster anyways. I mean, they ain't got. Well, like they released Nia Jax. I can understand releasing Nia Jax because
she didn't want to take the vaccine. Was what the issue was.
And she has hurt a lot of wrestlers too. But their women's division is lacking anyways.
Yeah. Any women's division's lacking. Look, the fact is, and I blame TNA for this. TNA made it to where you had to take women's wrestling seriously. Okay? It shouldn't be that way. And the reason being, who was the longest serving women's champion in wrestling?
Fabulous Moolah.
Exactly. Why? Because it was a gimmick. Okay? She was supposed to be tougher than any woman that got in the ring with her. It was a gimmick. Okay? And what was it? Sherry beat her.
Wendy Richter.
Wendy Richter, that's right, at WrestleMania.
No, it was Raw to End It All, which was simulcast on USA and MTV. God,
Okay.
this was before I was born.
Okay. So, anyways, so that happened, and my point is that the only way they got that over was they brought Cyndi Lauper and Lou Albano into it. You remember that?
Billy.
Yeah. And that's how they made that. That's how they made that get over. Women's wrestling shouldn't be the thing people are tuning in to watch for real wrestling. It should be going back to the 1990s style, you know.
And what's bad is apparently the best match of the night at Survivor Series
Was a
Becky
women's
Lynch
match.
versus
Yeah.
Charlotte Flair.
Well, and that
And it was a hell of a good match.
Yeah, but it's and the thing is the only reason that match was anything is because they had heat backstage with each other, and it transmuted over into the actual match. And I think that that's something that a lot of people keep overlooking. Is, you know, you've got to build these matches. There's got to be something to these matches. You can't just say, "Oh, Corey Hyde and John are going to fight this week." You're mad about the fact that John's got blonde hair. You know,
You got glasses. You're an asshole.
Yes. Yes, I am.
but I mean, you know, and that's where they're at. I mean, one of the matches, I think it was Crown Jewel, was Seth Rollins broke into Edge's house and ate an apple.
And who did Edge call on?
FTR.
FDR from another fucking promotion.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, granted, he used their real names, but he did call on the Usos or shit, I don't know. Who's another tag team?
I don't know.
I can't even. But he called on FDR. It's just, you know.
Yeah, FTR even tweeted, what was it? Something to be there.
Yeah, be there in like 5 minutes.
So, okay, so you've got the figure poke of doom. You move on. Yeah, Goldberg gets injured because he does something stupid, slams his hand through a glass. That kind of, you know.
Surprised the man didn't give himself a concussion as much as he headbutted them damn lockers.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, he got himself injured, so that kind of ruined his chance at making a major comeback there for a while. But they had time between the injury and that to build a Goldberg match before he got injured, before they went down that story.
They could have talked so much shit. They could have been like, you know, we put out Goldberg, we ended his streak.
Right.
You know, just talking shit about him until like he's never even going to come back because he's so bad and got so beat up, and then have him come back and, you know.
But
Mad as
I don't
hell.
remember how he came back.
I do not know.
Megadeth was, which by the way is a damn good live show. But anyway, they were playing on Nitro, and anyway, the song ends. Goldberg, all of a sudden, the pyro goes off. He's like, "I'm back," and then WCW just fades to black.
Huh. I didn't remember that.
What the hell, man? You just
It was
hooked up one of your biggest superstars.
Yeah, the biggest guy you got on your roster, because I mean he was over like Rover at the time, and I mean, you know, the only person in the business who was even close to being at Goldberg level was Steve Austin at that time. And I mean, you know, I would say Austin was a bit more over than Goldberg was at that
more
time.
relatable, probably.
Yeah, but Goldberg was over.
Yeah,
you know.
The song ends. It fades to black. Goldberg comes back on with a pyro, yells out, "I'm back." Crowd starts cheering. Nitro ends.
It's a topic we said we were going to nix for this week, but Vince Russo,
bro,
he has what he calls, and I may get it wrong, but he called it Smash Mouth TV. Is that what he called it?
I don't know.
Where you just get something out there, do something to get the attention. It doesn't matter about the storyline. And, you know, that was Russo's style. Bischoff, if you listen to 83 Weeks, which I recommend going and listening to 83 Weeks until they get to where they're just watching Nitros and recounting what happened. That's not so good. But if you listen to 83 Weeks, Bischoff talks about when Russo came in. You know, Russo was controlling the creative, and he was saying, no, we're just going to do this. We're just going to, you know, if it bleeds, it leaves, and just whatever. And there was no storyline to lead up to it. Isn't that what Bischoff was doing prior?
Not to
the extent, but he was doing the same shit. I mean, you know, it was the same, you know, who's going to join the NWO this week?
Who cares?
Oh no! Apparently,
Who's
oh
that?
so and so decides they're not going to join. They're going to fight. Wait a minute! He betrayed us. Oh, he put the shirt on. Oh,
Right.
he did this.
Exactly. And every week it was that. That was the same thing that went on. And that's why 83 weeks they went on number one, as number one, because they were a more entertaining show. If you flipped over to WWE, there was Doink the Clown, and and the big boss man in his law officer uniform, and Undertaker with his
Body bag.
well, he had his big tie at the time and all that. It was still gimmicky, and WCW won because they made it real, but they didn't know how to hold on to keeping it real, and that's the biggest issue. I mean, if you want to, if I've got a Mike Tyson fight I'm promoting, I'm not going to put it together tonight and then do the fight tomorrow because I'm not going to put any asses in the seats.
Hey, just so you know, tomorrow, exactly, 7 hours from today, we're going to have a Mike Tyson versus
Mike Tyson and Holyfield rematch.
rematch of the century.
You're gonna plan it 120 days in advance.
You got to advertise.
You're gonna promote the shit out of it. You're gonna have them together, up in each other's face. Where they did that really well, the lead up to WrestleMania '98. They did that very well. You had was it '98? Am I right? Where Michaels dropped the belt to Austin.
That was WrestleMania 14,
Was that the one that had Mr. T and
No, it had Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson? Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was 98. Yeah.
And so, anyways, here in '98, you had that exact build up going on. All right, and they built that match literally from the Royal Rumble to the day of the match. And unless I'm mistaken, did the Royal Rumble take place and Bret Hart lost the belt, or did Shawn already have the belt?
Shawn already had the belt because that was when he broke his back. Because he and Taker had that casket match.
That's right.
Taker inadvertently backfucked him over the rope.
Yep.
He was back on the casket, and then things started to just go downhill.
Yeah. But still, my point is, '98, WWE knew how to promote.
The last time
WCW?
The last time I think I remember the WWE actually promoting the shit out of something that was worthwhile was the day after one of the WrestleManias is when John Cena came out and challenged The Rock.
Oh,
and
for
they
the one next year?
Yeah, for the next year's WrestleMania.
Okay.
And they built that up all year long.
Why would you not?
Yeah.
That was about last time I remember they actually, build up something.
But, I mean, that's brilliant. That means you are getting people interested in the story. So what? It took a year to get there to the payoff. With Adam Page, 2 years to get to the payoff. You've got to build the story so people are fucking interested in what you've got.
It's like the difference between growing a tulip and a tomato plant. You're going to get more out of that tomato plant than you are the tulip.
Right. And that, back to WCW, what were they? They weren't planning anything.
Think about it. Going back to what you were saying with when Austin won that Rumble, what was WCW doing? They had Bret Hart as a special guest referee at Starrcade.
Right.
And they fucked up the main event.
Yeah.
I mean, Nick Patrick was supposed to fast count Sting. He didn't.
Right.
Sting still didn't kick out because that's what the booker, forgive me, who was it at that time?
No, I think it was Kevin Sullivan at the time.
That's what he had wanted, but still,
Right.
I mean, the whole thing just went to hell, and that was the biggest damn match of the promotion.
And, they had good talent. We can't say WCW had bad
saying
talent.
that they did.
They were stacked.
Yeah. They should have been top of the line.
They should still be a thing.
They should.
They had good mid carders. They had good main eventers. They had
The issue with WCW boils down to, and there's a list of 4 names up there.
Should be 5.
Is it 5?
It should be Jericho, Benoit, Guerrero, Malenko, Saturn.
Okay. So you take those 5. But I've got 3 of them up on the list, I can tell. Those I know of 3 because Perry Saturn, he never really got over when he got to the big leagues. I mean, he was hanging out with a mop.
Yeah.
Let's see, did he ever win a world title? I know he won like
No.
mid-card titles.
Yeah.
Dean Malenko, I don't know what happened to Malenko
He's
after he was part of the
road agent
Radicals.
with AEW.
Yeah, but after he was part of the Radicals, I don't.
He had a singles career in WWE that had absolutely nothing to go for him.
Yeah, this whole James
Then he worked
Bond,
backstage for the WWE for a while.
Now he's over at
You know,
AEW.
Okay, but still, my point is, there's three guys: Eddie,
Mhm.
Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit.
Mhm.
2 of the 3 days.
Put aside the bad shit that Chris Benoit did. If you'd have pushed Benoit in WCW, instead of saying, you know,
And
when
Benoit,
when
he
you
left, he was getting a push.
right.
That's one of the reasons why he left, because it's just too damn late. Here, bye.
Well, but you also have the instant, you know, you had the famous quote in WCW, and you know what that is?
You're too small.
Doesn't work for me, brother.
Oh.
You know, Hogan. You know, hey, we're going to put, you know, because at one time point they said, hey, what about Jericho? Well, that doesn't work for me, brother. You know, why doesn't it work for you?
It just don't.
Well,
They wanna put him
Hogan either wanted the belt himself or he wanted his buddies to have the belt.
I don't know that it was. I think Hogan. Okay, first off, I don't think Hogan has buddies in the business.
Well, buddies he thought were.
I don't think Hogan's ever had buddies in the business. Hall and Nash swear to God they'd never met Hulk Hogan except for when they were at WWE. They met him, but they did not meet him until when he showed up in the ring to be the third man. They didn't know who it was going to be. They had no clue. They had been told, and even Bischoff said, "I told him it was Sting."
Well, Sting was, because Hogan waited until like the 12th hour
To call him up.
Yes.
Hey,
Sting
brother.
was going to, and then
Make me the third man. And you know, and that's the thing is, I mean, you had guys again, Benoit, Jericho, Guerrero, who could have taken that company and
the
led it
next
into
millennium.
led it into the 2000s. Well,
So Jericho did good to WWE, he's doing good in AEW.
well, but okay, I don't want to count AEW,
Okay.
but and the reason that is Jericho went in there as the top dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
So let's
WCW, you know, he
But
went.
I mean, when he went to WWE, he came in promoing against The Rock.
Mhm.
You know,
Those are
the
two
countdown
top-
ended in the middle of The Rock's promo.
in some random ass date in August.
Right there in front of The Rock. Here The Rock is cutting a promo, and the countdown ends, and then Jericho comes out and says something to The Rock, insulting, and The Rock, it doesn't matter.
What is your name?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what your name is, as The Rock would do. And yes, they had a bit of a feud go on right then, but then Jericho kind of fell to obscurity for a minute or two. But within a year and a half, he's back to being the first ever undisputed champion.
He beat the Rock and Stone Cold in one night.
That's true. And my point is, he's a guy who you could put anywhere at that point, and he would make a good match.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he doesn't make a good match to me. He makes a great promo. He makes an all right match to me. He's 50 years old, 51 years old. You're not going to have a whole lot of great matches ahead of
That's
him.
why I think that's why he's got the inner circle, because Sammy's still with his young and in his prime.
Sammy's 23.
Santana and Ortiz are fantastic tag team. You got the big man and Jake Hager.
But we all know that clicks
Mm-hmm.
do not drag people up. Because if that was the case, Road Dogg would have been a world champion. Billy Gunn would have been a world champion. X-Pac would have been a world champion.
Mm-hmm.
Because, that was the most over click that's ever been.
China was the first female Intercontinental champion.
But, the Intercontinental Championship was what?
Mid-card title.
There you go.
It is.
Yeah.
But still, you know what? It's a upper mid-card title.
But it's a damn good accomplishment.
Right. No. And my point remains that here WCW had these three great talents that they could have been moving up to the U.S. belt, but instead, hey, let's keep you in the cruiserweight division.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to work for me, bro.
Glass ceiling.
You're not big enough. So what? They're not big enough. Rey Mysterio was the WCW champion at one point. He was small. Okay?
He's smaller than Jericho, Guerrero, or Benoit.
So I mean, I didn't get it. Still don't get it. Why they didn't put these guys over?
Hell, all three of them had a decent run in the WWE when all three of them were world champions.
I thought Benoit was really good in the ring.
I like Benoit. I know it will never happen, but I personally, for his wrestling accolades, think he should be inducted in the Hall of Fame.
I mean, you got say what you want about Benoit, but the man's a killer in the ring.
He is outside.
Let us put that in a different episode, please.
He's a slayer. He slew him at home.
Yeah.
Slaughter.
I'd like to say it will never happen because of what
But it shouldn't happen because you can't do something like that and expect your accolades as a person to make you get over. No one should, even Benoit's son says, no one should ever glorify my father because of what he did. And he still has a surviving son. David Benoit, is that right? Daniel Benoit. And he was Benoit's first wife.
Yeah. They lived in Canada.
Yeah. And he said, no one should ever honor my father in that respect because what he did was just so heinous. And, look, I get it. If you go back and you look at the stuff, we can get into a whole episode of this one day.
Yeah, let's do that later. Sounds good.
Yeah. Benoit's Bible, have you ever seen pictures of that?
Where he used it like
he was right off into it. It's like Eddie's talking to me.
And
Eddie's telling me
this world, I'm coming home.
Eddie told me I've got to hurry up and get my family to the other side. Because Eddie died first, and Eddie and him were best friends. And he lost it after Eddie Guerrero died. And matter of fact, Chris Jericho, you watched the Dark Side of the Ring, didn't you? Chris Jericho said he didn't, they were friends. He said he didn't speak.
I thought Guerrero was at his best there towards the end.
Guerrero was.
When he had, especially when he had China, that whole thing with China, that
Mamacita.
was great. Yeah, that was great.
I love the whole thing with
him and Chavo with the Los Guerreros,
Light Steel, and then the Riders.
Yeah, it was one.
Takes his boot off and hits people in the head with it.
It was
drove in with his little car.
And you know what? Who were they playing to?
The
common trash, white trash, common denominator.
Did it pick up?
And it worked.
Yes.
Because that's what I know it's a racial thing.
Off a stereotype.
It's a racial thing, but guess what? We white people want to see. We want to see Mexicans stealing shit. Not lying. I mean, it's funny to us.
Not their jobs.
No, not their jobs.
Don't want to see that.
But and then I mean, his biggest rival that I remember was JBL, and they put out some fantastic matches together. And here you had this Texan who played the "I don't want you crossing my border" shit down perfectly. It was great. They should have done something like that in WCW with him. And I think that if you were to corner Bischoff on that today, he would go, "Yeah, you're right. I should have done something." But they didn't. They dropped the ball. Same with Jericho, Benoit as well. I mean, coulda, woulda, shoulda. I guess that's where that's at. But still, if they'd done something, just something a little different. Jericho had a new contract offered to him. He was like, "Yeah, I'll sign it. Never did sign it. Why? Because he knew he wasn't going to get the push he deserved.
Yeah.
And are you going to stay somewhere?
No, I can't blame him.
I don't think anybody.
He wanted to be a little bit more than just a jobber. He wanted to actually get out there and make something of himself.
You know what? He proved his
he made more money.
If he wanted to be a jobber, be a jobber. But like I said, if you just intend to go there to draw a paycheck, who cares if you win a title?
It's like Austin said, you make more money at WCW. It's guaranteed money. But at some point, you get tired
of being
told no. Yeah, no. One of the things I was, I watched the Ultimate Warrior behind the Dark Side of the Ring, is what it's called, and about Jake the Snake, and him were going to be tag partners, and Warrior went nuts. Oh, Jake was pissed off about that, and Vince McMahon walks back and goes, "Man, you got the worst luck in wrestling." That was the way that Benoit and Eddie and Chris Jericho were all treated down at WCW. They had the worst luck in wrestling. You're in this cruiserweight division, you're never getting out. Sorry, hate it for you. But somebody like, at one point, Buff Bagwell weighed 215. He wasn't in the cruiserweight division. That's well within the weight limit. Why wasn't he in the cruiserweight division?
They wanted to push him.
Exactly. And
So he never won a world title though, did he?
well, no,
No.
because he kept getting injured.
He's mid card.
Same reason Scott Hall never won a world title. Got injured, got on pills.
There you go.
You know, same issue. And that's the thing is you've got all these people out there who were great at WCW, who rose to amazing levels later on, but WCW didn't know how to push them. And that is part of why I believe WCW went downhill like it did.
I think I don't think it's that they didn't know how to push him. It's just that they had too many big egos in the back. That didn't.
Okay,
they couldn't
so
stand the
what?
competition.
Guess what? One man has to make a damn decision. Bischoff.
Don't
He listened to his big names.
Yeah,
And-
don't
and
listen to
If
That's
it was
the
my company,
But he
if it was
did.
my company, too bad. We got to do something. I can't have a 103-year-old Hulk Hogan out here cutting leg drops that are breaking his back every damn time he's doing it,
Well, he'd be
and
like,
he's having to have 20 back surgeries.
well,
between
what about
That I'm
Chris,
paying.
what about Chris Jericho? He's young, he's thirsty, he's hungry, he's ready for this.
right?
I don't know, brother.
It
I mean,
doesn't work for me, bro.
Yeah.
brother. Let me look at him. He's small. He's not big enough.
5'7".
Let's put the belt back on Steiner.
Too bad, Hulk. You're out right now. You go back to Tampa and heal, and we'll talk when you get back. Okay?
Stop cutting corners.
Yeah. Well, that was later on.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, that's the thing is that Bischoff, the buck stopped with Bischoff, and whether he wants to pass it on or whatever he wants to do, the fact is that Bret Hart, he freaking got Bret Hart, biggest man in Canada, without a doubt.
What did he do?
Do what?
What was the first thing he did in WCW?
A referee.
Yeah.
Brought Bret Hart in as a referee. Hell no, you should have brought Bret Hart in to wrestle for the belt.
As Bret Hart.
Yes.
And then he had a runs with like the United States or whatever.
He won the world title over there a couple
Or
times.
bring him in as a referee for a special match or whatever, like the title match, and then just let him, the ref hit him with,
I don't know. No,
he puts them both out,
I-
and then they have a big match.
They
for
did,
it.
but they did that with Austin. You can't go that route, and because that was Austin against it was Kane and Taker. Austin did that exact finish. So I mean, you
Oh.
couldn't steal that,
Why
and
not?
probably
Did they
around
show
the same
everything
time.
else?
Well, it's true, but
Why
it was
not?
probably around the same time, and people.
Did it work?
For Austin, yes, it would have never worked for Bret Hart unless you were wanting to make him the most hated person in wrestling.
He did that.
Too bad Hogan wanted that mantle. Doesn't work for me, brother. Goes right back to that phrase.
Too bad.
Hogan wants to be the most evil man in wrestling in 1998.
Then you're fired. Get out.
Who, Hogan? Hogan wouldn't. You can't fire Hogan.
No.
No, their contracts were like super.
Hogan's was ironclad.
They do whatever the hell.
Firing,
Pretty much their
Hogan,
contract says we do whatever the hell we want.
Well, just Hogan. Then Nash and Hall got that later on.
They should never have signed it.
And who should have never signed it?
Anyone.
I mean,
It
if
was
they
offered
offered you
to
a
them.
contract for $3 million a year, saying, "Here, go do what you
No,
want,"
no.
you're not going to sign it.
I thought they are the ones that came up with
No,
it. Okay.
they just came in and said, "Look, we got this little small company. We don't know how to run it.
Okay.
You guys save us." And that's what they just handed them this contract. They said, "Here, $3 million a year. Do what you want." Well, $3 million for Hulk, $3 million for Sting, $1 million for Nash, $1 million for Hall. The first contract.
And then every
And
time
then
they brought
Bret-
somebody in, it popped up.
Yeah, and then they brought Bret in at 3.5 because they had to bump Hogan up to be equal to Bret, and they never used Bret. You got this guy, $3.5 million that you're paying for this guy a year. You're not using it.
Why? Why you there?
I don't know.
And then then they had the guaranteed money.
First
Like you
money,
didn't even have to work to get paid. That's why Sting and Goldberg didn't come and wrestle after so long after WCW closed because they were already had so guaranteed
Right.
contract. They were getting paid to not do anything.
Yeah, just sit there.
That's kind of like what WWE.
Well, the WWE's releasing the people that are just sitting there now. But,
They're just releasing them left and
I
right.
need mental health. You're fired.
Yes, exactly. The thing is though, is that you've got this company that was just piss poorly managed. And Bischoff, whether as I say, he's going to push the blame onto whoever. Oh, I wasn't over that. I was just over creative. I can't help it. If you're the vice president in charge of that company, then run it.
And don't run on like Jim Herd did.
Yeah, don't fuck it up. If somebody hands you a thing and says, "Here's a blank check, make it great," then do that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make it mediocre. Don't say, "Okay, well, I've got Hulk Hogan. He's the biggest thing in wrestling since sliced bread." Because guess what? Stone Cold Steve Austin was coming up right at that same time, and guess what? He's the biggest thing in wrestling since Hulk Hogan was.
So they gave us this blank check and told us to fix it. So let's just sign Hogan's name to it and hand it to him.
Why are you not calling Austin up and going, "Here's $10 million, come over here"?
No, they'll fire him by FedEx again.
Exactly. I mean, they had him first. They had Austin first, and they didn't use him.
Well, they future endeavored him.
Yeah.
So, my whole point just revolves around the fact that it was piss poor management, piss poor booking, and you might Bischoff can get pissed off or whatever he wants if he ever listens to this. And anytime his name's mentioned, I'm sure he goes and looks it up because I'm sure he's got a Google, thing that pops up with his name.
Your name has been mentioned 62 times on this show.
But the fact of the matter is that it's his fault. He can't blame anybody else.
He's the ultimate loser.
Now, he left before it really went downhill. He got out before then.
It was like Jay Bruce's name, even the Titanic.
Right.
He
Yeah.
got first down the lifeboat. Oh well. He did nothing to save the ship.
And that's exactly what he did. And what can we do? What can you say about that? I mean, it's your fault, Bischoff. The WCW went down the tank like it did. Too bad. You can blame anybody else. You can blame Kevin Sullivan. You can blame Dusty Rhodes. You can blame Kevin Nash.
You can blame Ted Turner.
David Arquette. Yeah.
Ted Turner.
Yeah, and Ted Turner.
Russo.
Our corporate, when it got sold out, Russo later on.
Hogan.
Yeah, it was. Well, he
Right.
never blames Hogan because they're best friends. But you've got to be dead on with the fact that, hey, it's Bischoff's fault. Nobody else can really take the blame but Bischoff.
I mean, he had the ball in his hand and he fumbles it. Like I said, all the weeks that he was winning in the ratings, he was outdoing the WWE. If he would have just continued to mold it, how it was going, instead of letting the inmates run the asylum.
Right. Well, let's bring it back to modern times, though. I see the same shit happening at AEW, and that worries the shit out of me about the promotion. Because, again, we brought in older dudes. We're not building up younger dudes like we are. I get it. Adam Page is younger.
Darby.
Okay. Darby's young. But Darby's not.
They're not pushing them the way.
But he's not good enough to be pushed. I heard his mic skills the other day. I'm like, why? Why are you even there, dude?
To do crazy ass shit because he doesn't really care about himself.
Freaking call Jeff Hardy and bring the Hardy Boys back.
I saw a thing apparently about Jeff Hardy is he's thinking about. Saw a rumor he's thinking about turning heel, and changing his character up altogether because he's getting up there in age and he says he's not able to do all the high flying shit he used to do.
23 years old. He's been doing bumps for the past 25 years.
So I mean, I don't know if that's any truth to it or not, but that's what I heard. But he said he's starting to hurt and
Right.
not being able to do all the stuff he used to be able to do.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that anything except for getting out of WWE would be any good for Jeff Hardy.
Look at Matt Hardy. I mean, he used to be agile and stuff, and now look how kind of slow he moves in the ring now.
Well, they're
down to the ring before that.
they're both in their 40s though.
Yeah.
And I mean, think about the shit they did when they were in their teens and 20s.
As the 40-year-old in the room, your shit hurts more when you get to 40.
But I mean, if you're sitting there thinking about how to build a promotion today, you don't need to be okay. I get that it's cool to bring in like Chris Jericho, Twinkle Toes. There, what's his name?
Twinkle Toes?
Yeah, shit. What is his name? Kenny Omega.
I don't know.
Kenny Omega. And I get, look, he's not a serious wrestler.
Orange
Cassidy, not a serious wrestler. It's cute to bring these guys in, but I mean, you had Hornswoggle having the belt on his hand, 3 belts at one time. Omega is not that good. You're telling me that you tell me a match Kenny Omega's been in that rivals The Rock Austin.
Him versus Moxley.
Rivals The Rock
That
Austin.
was a hell of a match.
It rivals The Rock Austin.
That was before either of them was champion, though.
I don't care. Does it?
Omega and Kazuchika Okada beat the pair.
Okay. Does it rival Austin and Bret Hart?
As in,
As
Omega
in
and Okada kept me enthralled for 45 minutes. I was on the edge of my seat.
Austin and Bret Hart did it for an hour in that Iron Man match.
That was Austin and Michael. Or
No, that was
Hart and Michael.
no, that was Hart and Austin, where Austin was bleeding down the face. They had to stop the match.
13. No,
So
don't touch me, bro.
I'm pretty
Don't
sure.
touch me, bro.
Well, I know for a fact that there is that WWE opened up their show forever with that image of Austin bleeding down the face in the sharpshooter. What was that at?
That was WrestleMania 13. That match went on for
2.5 hours.
22 minutes.
It's still going.
Still,
Yeah.
but they stopped it short.
Yeah.
Was it not an Iron Man match?
No.
Because I thought it was an
I
Iron Man.
quit.
I quit. Okay.
And Austin passed that.
Still, my point. Did that keep you? Which one would you say is more? Which one would you say that there are young wrestlers watching today going, I want to do that shit?
Wrestling wise, it's going to be Omega and Okada.
You think so?
The match that young wrestlers still talk about that to this day that they that it says the best they like to accomplish is Razor Ramon, Shawn Michaels ladder match for their
Okay. And then guys who are interested in hardcore, they're what's their match they want to match? Yeah.
Mankind, Taker,
Yeah.
King of the Ring.
Yeah. So I mean, the thing is that there are these monumental matches out there.
It depends on the genre.
There's nobody putting that out right now.
No.
I mean, Omega's not putting out monumental matches.
That was 6 years ago. That was 5, 6 years ago.
Before he was
before
on a nationally televised,
yes.
right. So, I mean, my point is you've got this nationally televised thing. You do what, 4 pay-per-views a year?
4 pay-per-views a year.
You've got a
3
whole
hours of
quarter
TV.
to build up something great, some sort of fantastic match. Why are we not going that route? I mean, I don't get. I mean, are they just not talking to the guys, going, "Hey, look, I want a good show in the ring too"?
Well, about Brian, backing up on this, about a month and a half, 2 months ago, Brian and Omega, Brian Danielson,
Right.
and Kenny Omega held out for a half hour. People watched it, and it went to a damn time limit draw.
Mm-hmm.
But again, they went back to the whole WCW model. They didn't do it except for 4 days in advance.
Yeah, that's bad booking.
Like, why put that on TV? I mean,
That's like CM Punk and the guy he just fought, Eddie Kingston. That had heat.
Yeah.
Like legitimate heat. Why did they only start it up 2 weeks before the pay-per-view? That should have been going from the second. That should have been the thing that CM Punk came to AEW to do.
No, the thing he came to do was wrestle Darby Allin, apparently. That was his first thing.
But that's stupid. Who wants to wrestle Darby? Why did Sting came for Darby Allin too?
Sting's there to give Darby a rub, but Darby he's one of the pillars of AEW.
He's never going to be any more over than somebody like Razor Ramon was. If you're thinking about time periods, he's going to be the equivalent of a Razor Ramon.
Okay.
And
Still to this day, the best match that I can probably tell you that I've seen on AEW was the strap match between Cody Rhodes and Brody Lee.
Cody Rhodes, did you hear the chants that were coming at him this week?
Did y'all see, speaking of that, did you see when he threw his belt out to the crowd and they threw it back?
I mean, but you heard the chant, retire.
As AEW is going to be in Atlanta this week on this so brutal.
I mean,
but like that match
are you going?
Yeah, it's Friday night both on.
That match between Brody Lee and Cody Rhodes for that dog collar or whatever they think.
Right.
That was a brutal hell of a match.
If you want to talk about good matches, I watched. I went back and YouTube this. It was Wahoo McDaniel and Ric Flair in a strap match, Indian strap match.
And what makes it Indian?
I don't know.
And I'm not being racist. I'm serious.
I think it's because aren't they like tied to each other?
Daughter feather.
Feather. feather Indian hot
Yeah,
dog.
I think they're bound to each other.
Yeah, but it was
In holy matrimony.
Sure.
it was a good match, and I seen that and I was like, man, that was a good match. I was impressed. But you know, they don't put matches out like that anymore, and that's honestly, it's kind of sad that here we are in the current place we're at in the business is where the top match is a guy who throws pancakes and a man who can only talk if Paul Heyman's, you know, running his mouth. And it's honestly kind of sad because I mean you've got no promo builds that get you to it. I mean, look, now I will say back to SummerSlam for a minute. Riddle, I was impressed with Riddle, and the reason I was impressed with Riddle, if he put some shoes on, I've never heard him talk, but if he can talk, he's got the same moves that HBK had.
He can talk ish, but it's more of a like a funny talk thing.
He's got this kind of stoner, stupidish vibe
Right.
thing going on.
Like Monday Night Raw, Randy Orton is trying to get him to act more like him.
Right.
You know, you gotta be hungry. You gotta do this. He come up dressed as Randy Orton. He had fake mustache, fake beard. He had black. He didn't have shoes on, but he had the black thing.
Right.
He had Orton's vest and a pair of trunks, and he was coming out, you know, doing his. He was cosplaying Randy Orton.
Right.
So.
And I personally, maybe it's because I'm old and I don't
I like
get that.
Riddle. Don't get me wrong. I like Riddle.
I don't get that shit though. Like one of the things that turned me off to Omega was whenever Omega came out dressed as a Ghostbuster. I don't like that. Okay, I want to be able to take my world champion seriously. Now, Mick Foley, somebody like that, that's a little different. You don't want to take them too seriously. Okay, you want them to have that, you know, the have a nice day edge. Because if you really, if you promote somebody who has that hardcore mentality that Mick Foley had, and they don't have a sense of humor, you wind out with Sandman.
Oh,
You know, and let's just be honest, Sandman would have never got over. Yeah, at WWE.
You know, I'm surprised that
it's Rocco.
that at some point, like, they didn't try to put the belt on Mr. Sacco. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, he won it. He did it in the pin. Yeah, he got him pin. You know, submission.
So,
Well, hell, they had that thing between Mr.
I mean,
Soccer
I
and the
would have thought that
Yeah.
was funny.
back to WCW. Should Hogan have been allowed to have the creative control of his contract?
Not completely.
We all agree, no.
No, I don't think you should get that much control over.
He could have had some. He could have picked and chose a few things.
They
But
can
not
have
complete
ideas, but not
You have
complete
you have
control.
you have input. It may
Yes.
be weighted more,
Well, I mean,
but
that's like,
ultimately it's my decision.
you know, that's like Bret Hart. Bret Hart, okay, but we've got time and we've pretty much covered everything on the board. Let's go to something else. All right. Was the Montreal screw job a work or was it a shoot?
That was a shoot.
You think so?
Yes.
I'm starting to think differently.
I just listened to. I've read both of JR's books.
Right.
By the way, are damn good reads.
Right.
Man knows how to tell a fucking story.
Well done.
Yeah.
But I recently, over the past week and a half, 2 weeks, I've listened to both of them. I'm driving around aimlessly throwing stuff out of a window. But,
Right. No, I get you.
But anyway, he had said that Vince knew, Earl knew, Sean knew. That was it.
Well, see, here's my stance on it. I went back and watched the what was that? SummerSlam. Survivor. Okay, so wow.
Survivor Series
All right.
98.
You don't get anything right today?
No, that's my goal.
I'm
to
just
get
stupid.
everything. So I went back and watched it not long ago, and why was Brett given TV time after
They
that?
didn't know where else to put the.
They could have ended it. It's pay-per-view.
Oh,
It was over. You could have ended it. Everything was done so well. I mean, even the fact that he wrote WCW backwards, so it was, you know, you could see it on TV. It was done so well.
And the only thing he did was spit in McMahon's face as opposed to jumping out of the ring. And
Right. I honestly think that it was. I think it was a work. And the more I think about it, the more I go, you know what? It sounds like something Brett would do.
I think he may have known
And-
what was up.
And
but
I know he
what?
knew something was up because I've watched Wrestling with Shadows.
Yeah.
You know, Brian and me were instructed to kill Steve Austin one night by Wrestling with Shadows. Remember that?
Mhm.
But
No,
the-
not kill.
yeah, sacrifice Stone Cold Steve
Oh,
Austin.
God.
We had it on VHS, and the VHS went crazy, and it just all of a sudden in the middle of that Wrestling with Shadows, it goes sacrifice Stone Cold Steve Austin.
It only did it that one time. We
It did.
rewinded
We
back
tried
to
to get
see
it to do it again. It went back to normal after that. But anyway,
Undertaker took over the VCR.
we had well, I think what it is that was the tape I recorded over wrestling each week with, and I think that it was like the week before
Bleed through.
Taker and Austin had a match or something, but still. But no, I went back, and even in Wrestling with Shadows, Brett was like saying that they were going to get him. He knew that it was coming down. So I kind of feel like it was a work. The more I think about it, Brett's reaction, the way the camera was situated in the back when Vince came out, all that stuff. I think that it was a work.
Depending on the person, I will agree with you. I mean, like JR, knowing what was going to happen.
No, I don't think he knew. No.
Very few people knew.
And the other thing is, as JR said, he never knew what was going to happen in the ring anyway, because they wanted him right. They wanted him to have an authentic reaction.
My God, they killed him!
Yeah.
They killed him!
Michael Cole, on the other hand, he wants to know everything.
Vintage.
Yeah, prior to
I don't know what the new fucking
Slobber Knocker. There you go. Borrow from JR.
Rocket Buster.
That's right. By the way, Taz is a great mouthpiece.
Yes.
I'll just say that. But
He ever made Michael Cole sound better.
It looks
No,
like Team Taz have got him a new lap.
do they?
Yeah, Dante Martin went ahead and signed, and because Leo Rush was like,
What are you doing?
So
what am I going to have to do with my
Well, they had
now?
to replace
Well,
Brian Cage with somebody. I
So
guess.
kind of back to the breaking of the fourth wall. American Top Team is also in MLW. Did you know that?
Shit.
Well, you said that Dan.
Why is that asshole Dan Lamb? Which I know that's probably just
He's probably a hell of a guy. He's probably just,
probably a persona, but still, why is that fat face dipshit? And
Oh, it's all a shoot, but I mean, it's all a work. But I'm just saying that, I
he's
mean,
doing his job right.
Right.
I don't like him.
right. But I go back to the Montreal screw job though for a second. I honestly, the more I think about it, I have to go. But I have to say it was a work, because you think about it, the whole Hart Foundation came down. All their contracts ended on the same night, except for the Anvil. And even Owens ended that night. But then Owen came back.
Yeah.
And I have to believe that it was a work just based off of some of the stuff that took place afterwards.
Too much
And-
coincidence.
Yeah, I mean everything. I mean, think about it. The next night, McMahon on Raw. Yeah, that's right. And then if you go and watch Wrestling with Shadows, McMahon knew Wrestling with Shadows was being recorded. Who's watching that interview on Wrestling with Shadows? It's Bret Hart. And Bret Hart, fuck him. That's what he said. And he made it look like it was a work to me. I went back and rewatched the documentary recently. It looked like a work to me. Just saying, I think it was something they did to build him up so that he could go into WCW with more clout than he actually had going out of WWE, and it backfired tragically. However, again, we're talking about it 5 years later. Still, right now, it was a big deal, and it still is. I mean, could you pull that off again today?
No.
You don't think so?
No. I mean, not in the
yes, but not if it's meant to not be a shoot, like a real thing, probably no. But they could be like a shoot type thing.
A shoot would be real.
If you are
I mean,
able,
A work.
Yeah.
If you were able to keep everybody silent on it, because 90, when was it, 97, 98?
Yeah, 90, yeah, I think, 97.
But it was pre-internet. I mean, you had the dirt sheets that
Right.
came out once a week. You had magazines. Magazines came out once a month. But pre-internet, you had the damn hotlines, 1-900-909-900.
Right.
Why do I remember that shit?
John, sounds like you called it a number of times.
Shut up. My parents' phone bill went up. But no, I mean, if you could keep everything quiet, then it would probably be able to go over. But if you weren't able to keep things quiet,
It's hard. It's hard to keep anything quiet in the wrestling.
Well, I think that's the
The
thing.
last
Especially
surprise.
now that everyone has a Twitter handle.
Yeah, the last surprise I think I can remember seeing in the WWE was the Hardys coming back at that
the
WrestleMania.
The
Yeah.
last thing I remember being totally surprised at with wrestling was God rest his soul, Brody Lee died.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's something that's not planned. I mean,
Well, I think that
But even them saying he was sick.
I think that McMahon has wondered a couple times if he was going to have to do that to Brock Lesnar. And
Yeah, he and Brock don't get along.
And, with that being said, if I was Vince McMahon, I would get in my car and leave before Brock got out of the ring. If that happened.
If I was to face Brock or Bear in a dark alley, I'd rather face the Bear.
Yeah. I believe Brock Lesnar could butt fuck a grizzly bear. Just saying.
And the grizzly bear just lay there and take it.
Do I?
Grizzly bear look back. Nope.
But I mean, unless you had somebody, which I mean, he's fired Strowman, so I mean, unless you had somebody like Strowman between you or Paul White, Paul Wright,
Him too.
yeah,
Or all of them.
yeah, him between you and Brock.
Mark Henry's gone too.
Yeah, there is no way I would screw job unless it was a work, unless he knew it was going to happen.
Well, what was it? I remember there was something where Brock was mad about something. He walks in the gorilla, chunks the belt at Vince, and walks by. And Vince like, asshole.
Yeah, there was something on WWE Network. There was some special they did. I don't know, it's a pay-per-view, but Brock just came in and chucked the title of Vince's head.
And then Vince just looks
like
back.
asshole, and then that's it.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure Vince is pretty tough, or he was.
Well,
I still wouldn't want to fight
yeah,
Vince.
no, I mean, that man's jacked.
Well, I think Bischoff could have took him if he'd have showed up, because Bischoff's a black belt. Right. But, still, McMahon, man, he's stacked, even for a 75-year-old. And, so I wonder.
Well, that man hits the gym at 3 o'clock in the morning. So.
I don't know if he still does. He's according to what I was reading, he's slowed down a little on all that.
3:30. Yeah, 3:30. He sleeps
Yeah,
5
I
hours
sleep 30
instead of
minutes
4.
now. But, I mean, if that were to happen in today's, first off, I can't see a wrestler on WWE's roster who would ever say, no, I'm not doing that. Because I don't think they care enough about the business to say, like Steve Austin did. When Steve Austin was told, you're going to go out and you're going to lose your belt to Brock Lesnar, tonight.
No, he took his ball and went home.
That's right. Steve Austin said, no, I'm not going up against somebody who just walked under the door.
And it wasn't bad. It was just because they did zero build-up.
Right.
It's like, I don't care about losing.
Right.
I don't want to do this with zero build-up.
They want to do it on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, you build this program up, you hype it up for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, whatever, put it on pay-per-view, then I'll lose to him.
Yep. And that's when Austin took his ball and went home, as they said. But still, I think Austin was right in what he did, because he knows how the business works.
He may not have done it the right way, but he had the right.
I don't know what other, what else he could have done. I mean, he could have pulled a rock, found a movie deal and left.
Yeah. Or John Cena.
Yeah,
John Cena looks weird with hair.
Was it The Condemned or something? Something that he was in?
He's never done a good movie. And the issue is Austin has no ability to act. Austin's Steve Austin.
What?
Yeah. I mean, at all times. I mean, The Rock's not always The Rock. If you watch The Rock in a movie, you're going to forget.
You got Rock where he's, I'm the action star. I'm saving people from this big giant earthquake, and then you also got The Rock who was, the Tooth Fairy.
Right. Yeah. And the same for John Cena. They both have this ability to act that Sure, Austin had it because he had to
Mhm.
in wrestling, but he doesn't have it for the big screen.
It's one dimensional.
Yes. Well, no, yes and no, because I mean he was the Hollywood Blondes, and I mean they did a fantastic job with that. If you ever go back and watch any of that, but still Steve Austin sounded like Steve Austin does right now. Then,
Just with hair.
yeah. And if you go watch him at ECW when he was doing those were the best promos anybody's ever got. Fire me over damn FedEx, you son of a bitch. You know, I mean, just talking about Eric Bischoff, wearing Eric Bischoff hair and got in a FedEx envelope, stuffing a bunch of pink papers in it, you know.
Monday Night NyQuil.
Yeah, Monday Night NyQuil.
I got a full match. You got Bongo here instead of Macho.
Yeah. It was, you know, the thing is it was done so well that when he got to ECW, Austin knew the character he wanted to be, and then he got pulled in as the ringmaster, and you know he wasn't allowed to be it until he went to Vince and said, "Hey, look, I got this idea." At first, it was the Iceman was what he was going to call himself, and because he watched a documentary on the killer, the Iceman.
And then something about his wife said, "Don't drink your tea before you get stone cold."
Yeah, and that's how he got his name, because his wife was a Brit at the time. And you know, it's funny to see how that character developed, but it's the same character. It's not Steve Austin sounds the same. He just got meaner. You know, he just became ruthless. He quit. You know, to where it was, I'm gonna whoop your ass tonight, you son of a bitch. You know, it wouldn't have been son of a bitch when he was, you know, with the Hollywood Blonde. You know, we're gonna put you on the big screen tonight. You know, that's where it would have been then, and it didn't get over. But when you got to the 1998 Steve Austin, 96 was it?
96 was when 95 was when he came in as ringmaster. 96 was when he started with Stone Cold. 97 is when he got over.
Yeah. So I mean, if you'd have come in, if he'd have got to do that earlier, if he'd have got to do that at WCW, you wouldn't be talking about WWE today. Again, goes back
to. It doesn't
to
work for me, brother.
It doesn't work.
Another good person who's good at acting in like different ways was Kurt Angle.
Yeah, Kurt Angle's multifaceted.
You got Kurt Angle who could be I'm going to break your ankle, I'm a tactician, I want to put you down, I'm gonna, you know, and then you got little tiny cowboy hat playing.
Right.
Well,
but
Kurt Angle's got charisma, though. Right?
Yeah, Kurt Angle has a sense of humor. That's a big portion of what you've got to have to be in business. But you know, I go back to what we're talking about, talents that should have got over that didn't. What do you think about Ken Shamrock? Do you think he should have had a bigger push?
It wasn't that they didn't want to push him, because this is coming straight from JR's book.
Okay.
It wasn't that they didn't want to push him, it's that he had gotten over and they wanted to push him more, and he's like, I can make the same amount of money, work 3 or 4 times a year doing MMA, I'm going to go to that. So he basically just totally.
But the thing with MMA is there's only so many fights you could be in before your body's physically not able to do it again.
Which he realized, and he's just like, okay, well, either way my body's going to break down. I'm going to go make this money here by doing X amount of work as opposed to working, 4 days a week.
You would tell you a tag team I think would have been a fantastic put together if they would have
Blackman and
Shamrock. Yeah, you got me. You called it right there.
They would have been great.
Blackman and Shamrock?
Yep.
Oh, that would have been good.
They would have been a fantastic tag team.
The most dangerous men is what they could have called them or something,
They would probably have to have had a mouthpiece. So.
Oh, well, without a doubt.
Yeah, well, neither one of them really called.
But what was Michael Hayes doing?
At that time, managing the Hardy Boys.
Why? We don't need him there.
So.
The Hardy Boys.
Matt's got charisma. Matt can talk.
Yeah, well, they got rid of him and put Lita in. You don't need that.
Hell, or they could have been like, they could have been like 3-minute warning. They didn't need a mouth. They had, Bischoff or whatever, but they just come in and boom, and then,
That's bad that both the 3-minute warning members already dead.
That Fatu family has a early checkout rate.
Well, I mean, Anawahi, the guy that played Rosie, I think he had like, what is it?
He had was it coronary artery disease?
Yeah,
You know what's bad? I didn't even know he was dead until recently. I was like, I hadn't seen him in a while. I think when Nikki Ash came out with the superhero in training. I mean, not superhero, the almost a superhero. I was like, I wonder if they should bring Rosie back. And then I was like, oh, he's dead. Never mind.
Yeah.
I got a point. I tried to watch NXT a while back.
Terrible.
Which one?
Terrible.
1.0 or 2.0?
I think it's still 1.0 at the time I started it. And
NXT wasn't anything
there was
worth
this
a shit. And
Asian woman who was supposed to be 1,000 years old. Do you remember this? You know what I'm talking about?
I think I saw the preview for it, but
And
I don't
she's
want.
supposed to be 1,000 years old. Then all of a
Look,
sudden,
I'm giving Blake. I have no idea what the
okay, well that's fine. I mean, I didn't know anything about it either, but apparently, like, they build a match, and then it just never happened.
No, I'm thinking somebody different. I saw a preview recently. It was like this Asian. I don't remember what he was.
It's her. They just changed her name and done away with her gimmick, but she was a 1,000-year-old.
She's supposed to be a hero. She stood up to her landlord.
Oh yeah, that's her now.
No.
That's what they're doing with her now. She is her father's daughter. That was, yeah. And I was like, who the fuck is her father? So I had to go look up who she was. And she used to be a 1,000-year-old Asian lady on NXT. I'm like, what? How does this even work?
Yeah, nobody believes you're Methuselah.
No. And
yeah,
yeah, sure, something like that. I mean, I get. Okay.
I come from the future. I already know how to beat you.
I mean, now look, Matt Hardy when he does broken Matt Hardy.
Wait.
You know,
hang on. Let me get my David Tennant in here for a moment. Oh God, I'm not David Tennant at all.
No, you don't. Stop.
You know,
I can usually do it. Don't get on to me.
He's a vessel. You know, I'm a vessel for these entities.
Alonso. But anyways, look, I get supernatural characters. They sell. Kane, Undertaker, Bray Wyatt, The Fiend primarily.
Boogeyman, not so much.
But he should have sold.
They just did. I mean, he had no
Papa Shango
whatsoever, but the man.
Even though, what's his name, the Irish guy?
Hornswoggle?
No.
Finley?
Finn Balor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the demon.
Finn Balor has himself and as a demon.
Yeah.
Then you got the Undead Brides in Impact. You got Abalon in AEW. Abaddon.
TNA had Abyss.
Yeah, Abyss.
Who was kind of a supernatural style character.
Now he's a road agent.
And then you got in Impact.
Have Viscera.
Midian.
Yeah, all them.
Grail.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a tag team we don't ever talk about.
Yeah.
Brood.
Well, but the Acolytes. That's a tag team we don't ever talk about.
I like
The Acolytes were good. APA was good. So
I thought that's what they're best.
But again, you think back to
whooping ass.
1998 to 2002. Everybody on the WWE roster was over. There was I can't think of a single person. I get that they brought jobbers in from time to time, but I can't think of a single person on that roster who I sat there and I was like, oh man.
Even their mid-card people could have been world championship material.
Right. I mean, Val Venus was mid-card. He could have been world champion.
Only in WWE could you have a porn star, a pimp,
right,
and
Godfather should have been a world champion. Multi-time.
He had talent.
Right.
Yeah, he definitely had talent. He was a Hall of Famer.
But I mean, really, if you think about that roster at that time.
Too cool, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, think about that roster at that time. Scotty Too Hotty, by the way, got released this week.
Yeah.
Just in case you didn't know that.
Well, I didn't know he was.
Yeah, he was a training agent.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is that here you had this group of people who all of them were over, but nobody was over like Steve Austin, The Rock, and The Undertaker. And I mean, you could have put anybody over by putting them in. Just Jericho, prime example, putting them up against The Rock. Jericho can talk, not as good as The Rock.
Nobody can talk as good as The Rock now.
I don't know, man. I think there's some.
Well, in this.
I'll go with another.
I think Dusty Rhodes
from
can
like
talk.
97.
I would like to have heard Dusty. No, better Ric Flair and The Rock.
In the front.
Yeah. Against each other.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been. Woo!
I still listen to shit. What is it? Dusty Rhodes when he was. You worked 30 years at your job, you got kicked in the ass, they gave
Right.
you gold watch, and I still listen to that promo.
I mean,
Hard
it's,
times.
yeah,
Hard times. That's what it
it's a
was.
good promo.
Yeah. I mean, here
What
we
were
are
you gonna
40 years
say?
later.
I'm trying to remember now.
Oh.
Sorry, dude.
No, you're
But-
good.
I mean, no, and like I listened to Woo Nation this week because the Flair kind of made some news with his Becky Lynch tweets.
About how he owns the man.
Yeah. What do you think about all that?
I don't know if it's him trying to. I mean,
Is he
I got
trying to
mad
just stick
respect
it?
for him. I don't know if it's him trying to stay relevant.
So what the deal is, in case you
Yeah,
don't
go ahead.
know,
Well, I don't know. So you're gonna
Okay.
have to tell. Break it
Is
down. Break it
that-
down to me.
Ric Flair swears that when he was on his deathbed, when he had his heart attack,
Which was for years ago.
that Nick Khan from WWE comes in and makes him sign all his property over, all his intellectual property over to WWE so that they would continue paying him while he was sick. So Vince McMahon lends him $1 million. Is this what you understood? $1 million?
I'll cut you off.
Okay, to pay his medical bills. Ric Flair paid them back. He paid his whole WrestleMania check, paid it back, he said. Never seen a dime of it, biggest payday he's ever had. All right? And when he, they told him you could have it back, we just wanted it as collateral. Okay, so it was just collateral. So it's now probably going to be going to court, but he owns, to be the man, you've got to beat the man.
Ric Flair does.
Right.
Because he owns the catchphrase.
Yeah.
on it.
He owns Woo as a catchphrase. There was two more, and I can't remember what they were.
Man, not
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
T-H-E,
yeah.
man, and then
Biggest player in the game.
No,
that or
I don't think it was that
Rick
one.
or something.
Limousine riding, jet plane.
That's it. The limousine riding, jet plane riding, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, son of a gun. He owns those phrases. Okay, now the lawyer in the room will speak on this.
Right.
You
Don't
can't.
see hope.
The only one who went to law school in the room.
I was there for a day.
You okay? All right. Well, then tell us all about copyright law, Corey.
Well, if you got a copyright law.
No, it's not. Copyright law is only good for a catchphrase because it's a trademark. It's not a copyright.
Yeah.
For 7 years. Okay. So this is where he's going to run into an issue. Now he may own it currently, and he can continue to renew it. All right. But once he's dead, those expire. You can't come back and say.
Do they expire every day?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. And so his estate will not have a claim to it. And so WWE wants to buy them and use them as part of their intellectual property because a corporation can continuously renew something like that. Now, what's probably going to wind up happening here is Ric Flair's going to go get some more money out of the WWE with a lawsuit because of Becky Lynch using the man, which now I think she's changed it now to what, Big Time Becky.
She's still the man though, but it's big time bet.
She's not doing that herself. She's not calling herself the man.
But she's not correcting anybody who stops.
Right.
Who does?
Okay.
Because
And
there's still signs in the audience that says the
doesn't
man.
the signs in the audience don't matter. You can't do a thing in the world about that. Okay. But what they're saying is that, she's not using it. She's using the Big Time Bex logo now because of the fact that they don't want to get sued. All right, basically is where it's at. But he's trying to create litigation. He's also saying that they have two title belts of his. The Dome belt, the NWA Dome belt. You know what I'm talking
The
about?
old school.
Yep.
20
And-
pounds of gold. Or,
Yeah,
20.
she's 20 pounds. Supposed
Sometimes
to
of
be, yeah.
gold.
And the Jim Crockett version of the big gold belt.
Oh.
And by the way,
Those are probably a fortune.
they're neither one are made of gold.
Oh,
No,
okay.
that's, yeah,
Right.
they're
That's the kayfabe of it.
Spoiler.
But yeah, but so
sentimental value.
the Dome belt, he took $1 million loan out on 2 years ago, paid it back. Okay, and the
What
big
pawn
gold.
broker are they using?
I don't know, probably the one.
The one in Vegas.
Probably that one in
Best offer
Vegas.
he gave you is $250.
Yeah,
No, they went to Chumweedy and
that's right. That's right. But no, I mean, because these are the actual belts, the ones that traded hands, they had some history to it. And he just wound out with when the NWA went defunct the first time. he wound up with the belt. And the NWA tried to get it, but he wouldn't give it to what is the current.
They had like a $25,000 or $2,500 deposit on, then they never
Right.
gave it back.
Right.
Something.
Yeah, you have to put a deposit down on your title belt before you get it.
And then something about the same thing with the big gold belt.
Right.
And he's just like, well, screw it. I give you a deposit on this. I own it. And then he took it to WWE back in '93.
Yeah.
Or '92, whatever it was.
And so what he says is that Hunter, Triple H, bought the big gold belt from him. All right. But he says that the money he paid back to Vince is part of the money that bought the big gold belt. So he wants all the belts back that they have. And then the Treasure Show.
Oh, yeah, but
He allowed them to put the dome, the NWA dome belt in the whatever they're building to
building some
showcase their stuff.
thing
Yeah.
in Stanford.
Right. So but the big gold belt from WCW from Jim Crockett is sitting on a shelf in Triple H's office in Stanford. And he says he wants them both back.
Okay.
Well, talk about potentially
entitled
burning
to?
the bridge.
Oh, I mean, he's already burnt that bridge. He's not going back.
Well, what is he, like 100,000 years old?
He's 72, but I mean,
But then
He's
again, look
done.
at Warrior, though. The
True.
many times that he's
but
been
Rick's
back there.
already in the Hall of Fame. Twice. Yeah. What else is he gonna get? What else?
Charlotte into the Hall of
3
Fame.
times?
He'll be dead.
He probably will too.
I mean, he'll
Partial for Will.
yeah, he'll be dead by the time that she goes in, if she ever goes in. And why would she not go in? Because she's selling tickets. She's putting asses in seats right now.
Mhm.
So I mean,
Damn good job at it.
right,
She's got,
So-
legacy.
right, and I get that they're going to be mad at him, but
They're not going to be, I don't think they're that stupid.
nobody's burned a bigger bridge with WWE than Bret Hart theoretically,
They let him in the
and they
Hall
brought
of Fame.
him back. And then he turned right around after that, after they brought him back. And what show did he show up on?
AEW.
Yeah.
The first show.
Why is that? Because he still feels like that toward Vince McMahon. He's still not a happy camper with Vince McMahon.
No.
And, allegedly. I still think it's a work. That's my opinion.
He's gone this long. It's part of his
It's exactly, it sells, look, it gets him interviews.
eternal victim.
It gets him interviews.
Just people. Relevant.
Anybody on the internet, if Bret Hart called us up tomorrow and said, I'll do an interview with you guys, what are we going to be asking him about?
Macho screwed up.
Exactly.
Or Owen.
Yeah, well, I mean, but you touch that tenderly. You don't go into that one like
So were you there when he
Did
splattered?
you see the video?
So your brother's still dead.
And the other thing is you got to
I
think,
heard you done it.
even Owen Hart's widow, which, said that Brett was the first person who told her she needed to make up with Vince. Even though Vince didn't stop the show, kept the show going and all the stuff that made her mad. But Brett was the first one to say, hey, you need to make up with Vince.
Why?
Yeah.
I think it was a money thing. I think that's how Brett, okay. They're from a wrestling family. They're from a family that was, a promotion family.
Marco's not.
Right. And I think that everybody in that family agreed, okay, shit happens in the ring. People
Show
died in
gotta go
our
on.
rings. Show has to go on. She doesn't feel that way. She's an MD, okay? A psychiatric MD now, if I'm not mistaken.
Or children's psychiatrist.
Okay. And, my point is that she's, she's not, she was a wrestling wife, never in the business. Sure. Everybody else with the last name Hart, or anyone that touched anybody by the last name Hart, was in the business. But their kids are not in the business, and she's cut a deal now with AEW to promote the Owen Hart Foundation, and
they do a tournament.
Right. They give a certain amount of their ticket sales to the Owen Hart Foundation, which I don't know what the Owen Hart Foundation, I think it's like an orphanage, basically, in this. And, yeah, something like that, yeah. But, I mean, and that's the thing is, like,
like Dick Grayson?
Yes.
Oh, shit. Stop.
well, but
That touches on both.
Yeah, but no, I mean, like, okay, so here's the thing: is like the most iconic place to train in all of Canada was where?
Heart Dungeon.
The Heart Dungeon. Nobody's running it anymore.
And they sold the.
Well, I'm sure no one's.
Did they sell the Heart House?
Yeah.
I thought that Brett bought it back.
Shit, I'm sure when Stu died, it kind of went downhill. I mean, I'm sure, you know.
But
no
why,
one really-
if you're Bret Hart, you're the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, you know, according to Bret Hart, right?
Yeah, why don't you open a gym?
Why are you not going to be opening up that and training the future? You know it would be loaded down with people wanting to
Well, I don't know about Brett now because he's hard to get around, but
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I
He
mean,
ain't got to get in the
I mean,
ring.
he's still
and show
got
him
the
how
he's
it's
still
done.
got the brains for it. I'm
right.
sure, you
I
know.
mean, he's going to be able to teach them the psychology of it. I'm
Yeah.
sure he could bring somebody in like Dean Malenko or Lance Storm who trained there. You know, somebody like that.
Jericho, was Jericho in the Heart Dungeon?
Yeah.
Jericho was at the Heart Dungeon too. Yeah. He was also in Stampede, wasn't he? Yeah. But did it sell?
Yeah, it sold. Smith, who was the oldest son, who's since passed. His son now runs a wrestling school
Okay.
in Alberta, but it has nothing to do with the Heart House or the dungeon or anything like that.
Okay. So no, we don't know who owns the Heart House.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
Hell, even Natty still wrestles for WWE. She was in the dungeon.
Yeah, but you know, look, they don't even let her use her last name. That's how bad the bad blood is there. You know, you can't use your last name. Davey Boy Smith Jr. got ran out
twice.
You know, and I mean, he was a damn good wrestler. Looked just like his dad. You could have passed him off as the same person. He's been on vacation for 14 years. You didn't know he was dead. I mean, you know, they could have done anything they wanted to and utilized good talent coming up. You know, this is the thing that gets me. They had one piece of third generation talent. Now they've got a piece of fourth generation talent who they, for some reason, have to push to the moon, being Roman Reigns and The Rock. Okay? The Rock, I get it. The Rock, well-deserved push. All right? He started out with the crappiest of gigs, too. What did Roman start with?
Shield.
That's not a crappy gig.
Unless he had something
Yeah,
beforehand.
that CW that nobody remembers.
Okay, but the Shield's not a crappy gig.
I mean, they came in right away and started cleaning house.
Right,
You know?
not a crappy gig to get stuck with. The Rock was freaking Rocky Maivia,
Yeah.
the grandson of Ty King Maivia, High Chief Maivia, wearing his his tassels and all that in the blue. I mean, and he made something with that character. They didn't make it. He made it. Rocky sucks, you know.
Rocky died.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, here we are with the Nation, and
Yeah, right.
And then that just
I did it
from there.
for The Rock. I did it for the
shut
people.
the hell up, you phone wearing fatty.
I mean, but I go back to, I'm going to have to continue to go right back to the point that Natalia, Davey Boy, Brett's got a son. What was his son's name? Blade?
Yes.
They're all fantastic wrestlers. They're not welcome. You don't want them. You don't want to put them over. Might actually sell some seats. Might get some people interested in the storyline again. I mean, you know, The Rock's got a daughter who's coming up. What happened to her?
Developmental.
Are they going to release her next week? Is that where they're going to be?
Well, they very well may. I mean, Nia Jax thought she was impenetrable.
The Nia Jax.
Cousin.
I mean, I like Nia Jax. She was decent in ring ish
Lately.
Yeah, but she was really unsafe. You know.
Well, but okay, and I go back to, this is one of the things, and we've been in a match, we've been in a ring. Number one thing you want to do is feel safe with the person you're in there with.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who I watch wrestle today, and I go, I don't know if you could ever feel safe with that guy. You know, Brock Lesnar, you're going. I feel like you would feel safe with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Okay, he doesn't look like he goes out of his way to hurt you. Goldberg, on the other hand, looks like he goes out of his way to hurt you. Now, I was watching on AEW, the Young Bucks. They're not safe.
Well, you know, the thing about Brock Lesnar is when you're trained as he is to hurt people and to know how to hurt people badly, he also knows how to not hurt people or not hurt them badly, you know?
Right.
Let me tell you one person I would trust to
It's
power
like a
power
doctor.
drive me. I would trust Eric Young to power drive me. He seems like he does it right.
Don't fire Eric.
Well, I mean, that's like I would trust Brock Lesnar to power drive, to power bomb.
You can't power drive in the WWE.
Oh, really?
That's just him.
Yeah, it's one of the
Well, he ain't in WWE.
yeah, it's
so-
one of the
Case in
band
point.
it's one of the band moves in WWE. Power driver.
Really?
Good, Adam Cole could do it.
What about Jerry Lawler?
I don't know.
They won't clear King because of his heart attack years ago.
Oh, well,
Like I said, Power Driver has been gone. I guess probably since Owen, but
they dubbed him.
yeah they do them every once in a while.
Special occasion.
Yeah.
I mean, like
But-
when you ever see a tombstone, the guy that's taking it, his head's like, well, it's probably good. Yeah, basically it's up in his
Yeah.
joint, so it's a good foot and a half.
Yeah.
Two
But like
above the
when
mat.
Austin got his neck broke by Power Driver,
Well, it's been done since then.
it has some, but not a
Al
lot.
Snow used to do pile drivers. I remember this. So did Owen when he was still
But
living.
if you go through and watch a lot of these shows now, you won't see hardly any Power Drivers.
No, because it just fucking off the road.
And
Yeah,
like
when you see
Eric Young, that's
AEW,
Eric Young's big
Cartwheels.
maneuver is a power driver. Like I've seen him power drive people on the ring apron, and like I said, he's very safe. He does it right.
What
So
about Penta? That's the Ando.
yeah.
Or that package apologize.
Mm-hmm.
See, I just don't get why in the world you wouldn't just say, okay, to hell with it. We're going to go back.
There's a lot of other band moves that you can't use in WWE too. That's
A lot
not
of
remember.
bad words that you can't make. I can't use heart, for example.
Yeah. I was told
Title
you can't.
match.
Huh?
Title
You
match.
can't use title.
Why is that?
It's got to be
It's
a
got to be a
championship match. You can't use title match.
That's stupid.
You can't use contender. It has to be number one person.
That's,
What?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
moron.
that's McMahon. I mean, Vince has lost
How
his
does that
fucking
make
mind.
That can't be McMahon. That's got to be
No,
somebody.
the band word list comes from him.
That's got to be somebody pushing
What,
that
Dean
on the
in his
man.
ear?
Yeah.
Or possibly.
I mean,
but
because
still.
he's got a board of directors he's got to answer to. But
John,
What
you got
board-
you got your phone handy. Look up the band words you can't
What?
say.
what freaking boardroom is going to get together and say, you know what? We're not going to talk about titles on a wrestling federation.
Does it sound
You
too
can't use hospital. It has to be medical facility. Wayne, thank you. Hasn't been used much since Droz. I forgot about Droz breaking his neck. But yeah, talk about the power drive.
He did that with the power bomb.
Was that with the power drive? I
Yeah,
thought that was
D'Lo.
with the power drive.
D'Lo.
I do remember it was D'Lo.
WWE has banned the use of words like babyface, heel, belt, strap, title, strangle, house show, trauma, blood, chair shot.
Then no wonder.
Now look at the band moves you can't do.
No wonder WWE is
have such a commentary?
yeah. That's ridiculous. I mean, how do you even call it a damn match?
10 wrestling moves banned by WWE. The
No.
pedigree, shooting star press.
The pedigree's only because of the fact that he's a freaking prick.
Randy Orton's punch, the brainbuster, vertebraker, the Canadian destroyer, the power driver itself, a curb stomp.
You know, Rollins still does the curb stomp.
Yeah.
You don't call it that, though.
No.
The stomps now.
Yeah.
Oh, curb stomp sounds too
Mm-hmm.
violent.
Can't say curb. Sounds like
I'm
where
gonna
black
get-
people live.
I'm gonna get sued by the city.
I'm sure you can't say crippling crossface.
Sounds like we're hookers.
They still call it the crossface.
It's a killer move.
Ow.
But I for the life of me don't understand what in the fuck WWE's got going on. I mean, this is why it's a subpar product now. As I said, Corey and me found where the best product's at. MLW is where it's at.
And you said that's Vice. And
It's on Vice, but it's also on Fight, and they're free there online.
Make them watch it.
Yeah, you need to see
I've
it.
already seen a couple episodes.
It was great, and I'm just saying I can't talk about how great it was. I have not been that interested in a wrestling show. As I say, I usually fast forward through all of them, and not that one.
Yeah, I'll go through 5 hours of WWE content in about 30 minutes.
Yeah, because I mean that's all there is of it. It's 30 minutes worth of content. 4.5 hours of freaking promos or somebody talking shit.
I mean,
I quit watching it whenever somebody said something about butt nuggets. Remember that? Remember me getting all pissed off about that?
Butt nuggets?
Yeah, they were trying to. They were. You remember how Triple H said to Owen, "You're that nugget
that little nugget
that won't go down when you flush," you know. So somebody in about 2010 decided they were going to rip that off, and I can't remember who it was. And you know, you're one of those butt nuggets, and they just kept. I think it was the Miz who did it. I was like, oh my god! And he tried to get a chant going, butt nugget, butt nugget. It's like, oh, this is just I can't watch it. And that's when I quit listening to the talk on WWE, which should be the best part.
Wayne calling out to him again. I was going to bed early Monday night.
Was Wayne in bed with you?
Shut up. No, he was blowing up a damn phone.
Okay.
But anyway, the first 5 segments of Raw, 3 talking, 1 egg segment because of McMahon, and then like a 5-minute match.
Yeah, stupid.
And this was like 45 minutes of the damn show.
Too many yes men and no one with balls to stand up to Vince. The fact that they tried to do another egg storyline at Survivor Series pushed me away. Well, I was just ashamed that there wasn't a little baby gobbledygooker that come out. That was what I was sad about.
Tried to dance with me,
Yeah, we could have. That would have been great.
God, I wonder if they did bury Mean Gene upside down.
He'd have been rolling. He'd got back top side up right then. But I'm just saying. I mean, like, I don't know. I think that there are guys I think you're right. Everybody there's a yes man, and it's not that they don't have balls to stand up to McMahon. It's they don't have the desire. They don't care about the business enough to stand up to McMahon. If you listen to Austin's podcast, he's not doing it anymore, but they're playing replays every week. Unless you know of something I don't know, he's been hired on by WWE to do the Broken Skull sessions.
Yeah, he's got a new one coming out with Jeff Hardy. I saw. I ain't
That'll
saw it yet. But
That'll be enthralling, I'm sure. But
only one I really listen to on a weekly basis is Talk is Jericho.
well, and I listen to all the rest that I can get a hold of. But I think that it's not that they don't have the balls; they don't care about the product enough to want anything good to come out of it. They just want the paycheck, and I think that's where they're at.
Bunch of jobbers. They don't want to say anything to the old man, so they don't get added to the next fired list.
Yeah, because if you ruffle the feathers, guess what? You're probably liable to be gone.
He signed on to AEW.
And honestly, that's seriously where we're at. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't grab Braun Strowman. That's blown my mind.
Yes.
Well,
I heard he was going to Impact.
So I mean, I can't believe.
Some of them went to other places. I mean, Matt Cardona, which was Zack Ryder, went to Impact.
Right.
Braun Strowman was going to Impact.
Bray Wyatt supposedly was going to Impact.
Bray Wyatt?
Supposedly.
I thought he was going to AEW.
I would love to see him as the leader of Dark Order.
I was telling Wayne this earlier. I think it'd be a cool angle to have, maybe Cowboy retains his title, Hangman, whatever, retains his title and celebrates, and the lights go out and Wyndham comes out and then points at the Dark Order and they turn on Hangman and, build up to a feud between him and.
Damn, Brian, you'd think he was a booker or something.
Damn, Tony Khan.
I mean,
paying attention to this shit.
You'd flip over here to the Macho Wrestling show. We'd be making your show number 1.
Yeah, like I said, just have the Dark Order turn and then just have a build up to Wyndham versus Hangman for the title. I mean, however we want to go. If you want Wyndham to win, yes, cool. If you want him to lose, whatever. But to me, that just seems like a cool thing. Because I like the Dark Order, but I like the Dark Order better when they were here.
I'm not stupid. I know what the next big move is. What did I tell you? The stories that sell are redemption stories. So who's the next one that needs a redemption story? Jon Moxley. He'll be back. Pay attention. Watch that space. That's where it'll be at. Because when he gets,
So the next in line is Bryan Danielson, right? I think he's going up against.
I don't.
Is he a heel? Because he came out the good.
He's done the heel.
He came out the good guy entrance though.
Yeah, and then he said something, and
Yeah, he did a heel turn last week.
Yeah.
I can see him be like,
If he's down to full on heel, he's the tweener or
yeah.
whatever.
So I was like, okay, he's a heel now. But then he came out the good guy entrance. I'm like, well, maybe not. Maybe he's just trying to get serious or something. I don't know.
I think he knows
What it
he wants.
is, it's just got a schizophrenic character.
That was, I wonder how well it was.
Be almost McFoley-ish.
Yes.
But I don't know. Daniel Bryanson to me, he's never been good.
I better like
He's all right at best.
Ring wise, that way I say that right?
Yes.
Ring wise, he can go on the microphone.
I get it, but I mean, I go back to when we were in the business, when we were learning it. If you clothesline somebody, they went down. They didn't get up and cut 3 backflips after that, and then try to do some weird thing with your arm and do.
Unless
flips.
it was Hogan and you
Right.
clothesline him and he hulks out.
Right.
or if you're like some
Because you wanted shit to look real, and now it's just like I don't know. It's like watching it. Circus du Soleil wrestling is where we're at right now in WWE.
Super kick party.
And, yeah, and AEW is getting there. I hope they decide to steer away from that. But as I say, I watched MLW this week. I watched got caught up on their last, I think it's 6 episodes they've got. My God, at what the shit these people are doing. I mean, it's like what we were used to. I mean, it's stomping a mud hole in somebody's ass, walking it dry. I mean, that's exactly what it is. Is there anything else we want to talk about? I take that as a no.
Yeah,
Well, we can take some things. I mean,
Well, I mean,
we ain't got all that for that.
we've got we're at the 2-hour mark. We're beyond it. So you want to wrap this thing up, or you got something else?
Wayne, you got anything you want to hear us say?
Well, if you got something, we can set it up for next week. Where we'll be at same bat time, same bat channel, up until the week of Christmas, which we will be taking off on that, and the Fat Bald, and the Fat Bald and White show will also be taking off that week if we ever get it back going before Christmas. Still waiting on my laptop. So, yeah. So, anyways, I guess we'll wrap it up. Nobody has suggested. Oh, wait. Okay, so Wayne says he knows Braun is doing a free the narrative with EC3. The EC3, he's still at Ring of Honor, right?
For the time being, Ring of Honor's last TV taping was actually it airs tonight. Their last
pay-per-view is next week, right?
December 11th, I think. 7th
Okay.
or 11th. And then they're going on hiatus until March or April.
Okay.
So in other words, buy ROH.
So, well, you know what? I've wondered how much it would cost to buy the company name.
Same thing it was to WCW. You'd be paying for the tape library.
I might be able to get it for cheap.
Look into it.
I don't want the tape library though. I just want the name. I don't want their crappy shit they had going on.
Hey, they had good shit.
Oh, once upon a time it was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they had Cody Rhodes. That's where he started the American Nightmare crap.
Yeah, the whole thing with Bullet
The Painmaker.
Yeah.
Jericho.
No, that was New Japan.
That was New Japan up there.
I go back to the thing we're going to leave this week on. Remember the R word that was used toward Cody Rhodes. Retire.
Wayne, see you at AEW.
All right, y'all have a good one. We will be back with another Macho Wrestling show in 1 week's time.
And remember, life gets you down, the cream rises to the top.
That's right. We're clear.
Still says love.
Huh?
Still says love.
Yeah, I know. Come on, get to it. They ain't never gonna get to God. I forgot how long this is.
What?
The Macho Man. There it is.